Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota, operated out of the back of a shipping container. And with me today, I actually have a very special guest who is unannounced on my stream. I will rectify that as soon as possible and make sure to include a link to his channel. It is that umbrella guy, TUG. How are you, buddy?
Hey there, I'm doing pretty good, man. This has been, I didn't know you worked out of a shipping container. That's awesome.
Yeah, I do. It's great. It's good. It's a mobile office. The problem is I have to go port to port, so it makes licensing very, very difficult.
You know, I actually learned quite a bit about your law firm by watching The Other Side. It was very creepy. I learned a little bit about your family too, creepy enough.
Ooh, you did?
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah, I
seen
learned
that stuff yet. That's always fun.
Yeah, talking about, I always feel that's like a threat when you talk about that guy and his 7 children. There's something ominous in that.
Well, I only have 5, so if they might be getting. I mean, it seems like most of their information is incorrect.
Right.
But why don't this would be fun? Since I've so full disclosure, I had a stream with the Beard last night, Ty Beard. Very fun stream. He had some no mincing of words for people involved in whatever's going on with this drama behind the scenes at cons. So he apparently is not too friendly about that, not too fond of it, and has picked some targets that he kind of called out last night, albeit through some pseudonyms.
Yes, we've had a lot of guessing on the list. Let's name that guy. That's actually been fun. I like that. I like that game with the pseudonyms, man.
Yeah, I mean I have my theories on who they are, but I would love to know specifically, but there is something to that guess and the mystery about it, right?
Mhm.
There's something to just not actually knowing what's up. And that's been one of the fascinating things for me is I'm my goodness, my mic is quiet. I'm kind of close to a lot of information, but I'm close to it. I don't have access to it, and it drives me nuts because as a lawyer, I typically have access to all of the information that I need. I have all the secret stuff. I know the surprises before they're going to happen 99% of the time, and this time I don't. So I'm kind of watching the drama unfold with everybody else, and it's a little bit exhilarating. But last
As we,
night, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say after we talk about a little bit of the crazies out there, since you've kind of been caught up on that side of things. I saw something today. I'm gonna show you. I bet you haven't seen yet. I think you'll enjoy.
Ooh, I'm. That sounds fun.
Yeah. I think if people haven't caught it yet, they'll love this.
I
It's
hope
right.
it's. Oh, go ahead.
It's right up your alley, man. It is. It's part of the law splaining. I think it'll be a fun conversation.
Well, now I'm scared. If it's right up my alley, I think is it a picture of my bathroom or something?
No.
Because
No, I did.
my
I,
bathroom is in an alley at the port. That's where that is.
well, the stuff they were sharing, man. I mean, it was like I said, it was a little creepy when I'm going in, and it says things like, "Oh, here's your business description. All right, well enough. Here's the address to the business. All right, that's creepy. There's probably one person on the premises. Oh yeah, that's really creepy. Things like that.
Hmm.
That's I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say we can get into that in a minute. I'll be interested to see. I would love to learn about my business.
Mm,
So that'll be fantastic. And we can do like a Q&A with what's right and what's wrong.
okay.
That'll be fun. The next thing. So what I was saying about the Beard. He was on my show. It went till 2:15, which I normally go till 2, but some of these shows I get done with them and I'm very energized. Last night's show is no different. I love talking to Ty. We get to mix a little bit of shop and a little bit of intrigue with the Vic Mignogna situation, and so my mind is running through this stuff. And if you follow certain forums and threads, you see people speculating over what he was talking about. I mean, I'm doing the same thing. I'm reading up on what everybody's saying. I'm trying to figure out who's who, and I have my ideas. But I had like a 8 a.m. appointment And so I went to bed at, I think, 4:15 last night, and then I woke up for my early appointment today, and I went and had a great meeting or whatever, but then I was just dragging the entire day. So it took me forever to get the link up to the stream and actually to even pick topics, because I haven't been following anything going on today. So that's why I invited you. And again, thank you for coming on such short notice. I pulled up my YouTube app and I saw your stream going, talking about the doxing of Rekieta law.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you didn't see the other. I'm glad you didn't see the other part of my stream title, man, because that would have ruined the fun. So you definitely don't know, man.
No, I know nothing. I got the little truncated snippet, and then I immediately just messaged you, and because you've been covering kind of, you've been talking about what's been going on with people's attacks on me, which I really appreciate, by the way. And you've been covering it, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you on my show for a little bit. So I wanted to invite you on and talk about it here, and also to, again, thank you for keeping people informed of what's going on and just what the other side's about, right? Like that's the funny sort of aspect of all this, is we're supposed to be the bad guys in all this. We're the mustached twirling villains, but it seems to be a couple actors we're familiar with.
Oh yeah. That's the real, the interesting thing. There's been a lot of, again, throwing speculation. I'm not making a statement on them being or not being, but there's been a lot of speculation that some of these people may possibly, they get a reward somehow, and it might not just be my virtue or my fifis. It might actually be, getting paid to do this, or getting favors, paid instigators. I would believe that in a lot of ways.
Well, here's the funny thing. So on the paid instigators front, I think I know what you're talking about. There's, if you don't mind, I turned my mic. Oh, excuse me. I turned my mic up a little bit. I was getting complaints that I was too quiet. So there's the paid instigator thing. We kind of, we had started talking about this a couple months ago with Comicsgate and with Meyer versus Waid, right? If I remember correctly, because there's a couple people who tweet a lot. And I mean a lot about very focused subjects, and they have a very openly stated goal of shutting down wrongthink in specific communities. And it's almost like a job level focus on what it is. So what we were speculating on a couple months ago, at least I was, because some other people had clued me into it. This is not my research or anything like that. I'm not trying to take credit for this idea. The idea is that there are a couple people who may be employed either by Weber Shandwick or Marvel, after potentially some advice from Weber Shandwick due to their Firebell program. And to give people an idea what Firebell is it's a PR program put together by Weber Shandwick, which is one of the largest public relations firms in the world. And what Firebell does is it's a simulated environment with crisis actors or whatever, that they bring in a social media team from a major corporation, and they start throwing at them a social media crisis. And it helps the social media company build up their natural reaction. It trains their team in real time. And it's like they basically create a fake Twitter, a Twitter environment, and they create a Facebook environment and YouTube environment. And they start, from what I understand, they start simulating what an attack on a company. And then they train their teams to respond in real time. Now, there's some speculation as to how much of it is just limited to training, but there's the further speculation that you could maybe hire agents from Weber Shandwick to act in the real world on your behalf. This is something called astroturfing. And before anybody wants to go ahead and say that astroturfing, this is some sort of weird conspiracy theory, whether or not it's happening with these specific companies, hiring social media people to astroturf for a campaign is absurdly common. absurdly common. It happens all the time. If you know people in advertising and PR, of course they do it. It would be stupid not to, because you're leveraging the tools of social media, free communication, and with hiring just one or two people who are instigators and influencers to take that on can be very profitable.
Well, one of the main instigators out there that is not a voice actor and on is even talked about. I mean, one of their older statements that I pulled up, talking about this stuff was, when I worked for the Republican Party, my job was to literally to bait people until they got angry enough to make a scene and draw my attention to me and my message. Talks about their methods there. Now they start whining about the methods of the other side afterwards, but that tells you they have been a paid instigator. So they're either bringing the tactics of that paid instigation, or they are still a paid instigator. They just found, the current year process where it makes it applaudable these days. Burn down people, but you do it with buzzwords.
Right, exactly. And deplatform people using their own violations of the terms of service that you've instigated them to. I mean, no, with relentless activity and focus on who they are and brigading and all of that stuff. And then when they retaliate, go after them with mass flagging campaigns and stuff like that. It's a tactic that a company certainly could use. But it sounds, I mean, this, for you and me, we know about this stuff because we've been dealing with it for the past year, covering Comicsgate, because it's the same morons doing it.
Yes.
And I had someone today actually send me a question about whether or not I think SeaWorld let one of these people go to work on Marvel's campaign, basically. And I don't know if that's true or not. No idea. I have no information to confirm or deny either of those things. So, but
I like calling businesses. Maybe I'll call SeaWorld tomorrow and see what they say.
I'm sorry. Do you have an orca that you have loaned to Marvel?
That would be an awesome. You know what? I was joking before, but I might actually call them and ask them that. Excuse me, can I talk to someone in personnel?
But yeah, so there's that going on. But what did you said you had a surprise for me, and I would love to see what you got.
I'm gonna pull up share screen so you can just.
Okay, I'm gonna focus it on your screen for a second, then.
All right, you'll love this, man. You'll love it. Let me blow this up to full size. Ooh, look at this. Now Ron has locked his account down, so if you weren't following before, now we're finding out why he may have logged down. Check this post out. This will be my last post regarding Vic. I will state for the last time, I have zero concern to go to court. I welcome it. All videos and harassment will be forwarded to my lawyer. Ooh, lawyer Casey S. Eric, I guess, at Kessler Collins. We haven't been served or summoned, so he's lawyered up, man. He's
good.
Lawyered up. Yeah.
Oh, good
finally.
job. I am so happy he has. I'm so happy he has. Do we have any confirmation from the lawyer that this is true?
No, we haven't seen any statements about that. I found something else interesting the other day. I totally missed this too. So he's been talking about, he's been very matter of fact about, you guys can't sue me. We'll never be held at fault. Well, the language has started changing over the last, say, 5 days. Up until that, I found this statement too, talking about civil cases. Most civil cases settle before ever going to court, and if terms were agreeable, we would settle outside of court. So
yeah, that's the back pedal.
Yes.
Just a little
That's
bit.
the language of fear right there, man. That's the language of, oh my God, what have I done? What the hell have I done?
Well, I think if this guy has any sense, he's a little bit rattled and terrified. Toye, didn't he make a statement about getting he got a letter? He said he wasn't served or summoned yet, but he did say he got a letter, right? Do you have that tweet, or
I'd have to pull it up.
Oh, no worries. As long as you've seen it.
He says, though, that he did not receive a court summons, but he got, I don't remember if he said letter or request. I would have to check it, not to basically delete anything. So he's more than happy to comply with not deleting tweets. So he's gotten something from someone there for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Things tend to happen very quickly when they're going to happen, right? That's law is a slow and lumbering process, but then it comes in avalanche. Oh, excuse me, in avalanches. And I think Mr. Toye got a letter. Well, he hasn't been served, although that letter is basically your ticking timer to service. Oh, and I don't know if you saw, but he was kind enough to send me his home address yesterday.
Oh, really? Yeah. Really? I didn't catch that.
He did. I'm of course not going to reveal what it is on stream, but I gave it to Ty yesterday because I wasn't sure if Beard Harris Bullock Hughes had his home address, which would be his, where you would serve papers or one of the possible service locations for him. So I did go ahead and forward that over to Ty and let him know. He included it with an ethics complaint. You have to identify yourself with these ethics complaints. So that's where he decided to graciously hand me that information, which was, I mean, it was certainly findable otherwise, but it is nice to always have someone do the work for you.
Yeah, man. I mean, if they're going to go out and this stuff they've been complaining about, I noticed him throwing that around for Sweet Cheeks, for example. Hey, why don't you make an ethics complaint about him using the word Sweet Cheeks?
Yeah.
It makes me wonder what they do behind the scenes, though. If they're that ready with the complaint, he's obviously already used it, but I wonder who else he's shopping that thing around to.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting over the next couple days for me to see how many more come in, because I think the one he sent was dated the 4th of March, and I got another one from the same day, and I'm pretty sure he had made a tweet about sending out this. He had linked to it for people to go ahead and fill out if they wanted to file the ethics complaint. So I did get 2 right away. We'll see if I get some more over the next couple days. But I found out something interesting about the other person who sent me an ethics complaint. You'd think it might be a random person, right? And I read the name last night, and I never heard of him. Thomas Almendinger. Thomas Almendinger is the name. Turns out Mr. Thomas Almendinger is a longtime chair of the Sakura Con up in Washington State.
Oh, that's very interesting, man. Do you not find it interesting how many people are connected to either conventions or their voice actors and on? They've all decided to group up. They either don't want you talking about this stuff and they attack you because you have a microphone, or they attack consumers. I mean, it's quite baffling when you see this behavior.
I don't understand what they're like. Attacking me, whatever, is fine. I guess they're gonna. I'm in ways attacking them, talking about what they're doing and trying to expose their, what their schemes, I guess. But so I kind of expect it. But what has baffled me before or through the past year, as I started looking into Comicsgate, and as I start looking into the Vic Mignogna situation, is how willing these people are to attack the people who pay them.
Yes.
That is wild. It's terrible marketing. And you're a business owner, right, Tug?
I'm not a business owner. No, no. I work in I don't talk about what I do though.
Yeah,
but
no.
Yes, I'm pretty high up in what I do, and yeah, that's why I complain about professionalism all the time, because it strikes me as absurd to see people going out and attacking their consumers, not treating them with base dignity. You don't go out and call your consumers racist, sexist. If I did that, it wouldn't be me losing customers. It would be me losing a job. So
right. It's I'm sorry for assuming you're a business owner. I thought you'd mentioned that, but I think maybe
I talk about YouTube. Actually, I consider YouTube a business. I mean, honestly, I pay taxes on it. I put in deductions. Maybe that's where you've heard me talking about that before.
Yeah, well, I think it's just you talked maybe about managing things, and so I just probably inferred the ownership part of it. but either way, you're familiar with how business runs, and you would never treat customers this way.
No.
The way that Real, well, Sabbath, Sabbath not as much on the public face. Real and Markey in particular have treated the fans is just it's asinine and it's stupid. To treat them like they're just because they disagree with you or they ask you for proof of something about one of their coworkers, that you would just be like, nope, I hate you. You're a subhuman or whatever. It's like, okay, that's a weird flex, buddy.
Actually, people like the Amanda Wynn Lee, I think her statements have probably been some of the worst from voice actors.
Oh yeah, isn't that that's Masato, right, from
Yeah.
Evangelion?
Yeah. It's
What?
I don't know. I've never, like I said, I've never seen anything like where you go out and you say, those people out there, if your hashtag is I stand with the rapist or, that kind of stuff, or worse, wishing rape on a person because they say something about it. Hey, honey, if you've never had that happen to you and it's going to, I hope people will be nice to you. It's like, damn, that's awful.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a weird one. All of these people, again, it seems like they're divorced from reality in a lot of ways. But I think it might be fun if you would tell me some information about my business, because I'm sure I don't know what it is.
Okay.
But do you have that stuff pulled up?
Yeah, let's see, like some basic stuff first. Rekieta Law. We are located in Wilmar, Minnesota. You're okay. Your organization primarily operates in the general practice law offices, business industry within legal services sector.
Yeah, that's I think that's the whatchamacallit, the federal tax filing code, the in C you know what I'm talking about, right? When you have to
Mhm.
you have to, so that's accurate. Sure. Yeah. General practice law firm.
Your revenue estimated to general is $54,237 in annual revenue.
That's a weirdly precise number, but it's way off.
They were talking about how he operates at this number, so he's probably making after business expenses. He's he's making less than minimum wage. I thought, man, but you got a pretty good deal on a shipping container. I mean, what's up?
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice shipping container. No,
Also,
the I can talk about that. Well, tell me, does it say where it says? It says my address too, right?
your
For my
address
office.
is in the conversation. I'd have to pull it up. I don't have it right in front of me
Oh,
though.
well, no,
I'd have to
it's
actually.
wrong.
Okay, yeah. I think thankfully, they when I see them doing that anyway, when they throw that out there as quote unquote general knowledge, that's right or wrong. It's creepy to see people putting this up there. Also, with this thing they pulled up, it employs approximately one person at this single location. So I don't.
Yeah, that's the big surprise, is that I've said the whole time that I'm a solo practitioner. So
Yeah.
uh,
What's creepy is putting out the address there, giving it to crazies, thinking that it's right or wrong, but they think it's right. Putting it out there, thinking that it's two crazies and saying, hey, there's one person at this address. I wonder who that would be. That's
yeah,
like I said to me.
now people have rightly pointed out that location, which it was a valid address, it hasn't been for several months. And I'm very open about that. I closed it down because I wasn't there. I'm at home with my kids almost all day. So I do most of my work from home. The cool thing about being a lawyer is that lots of times you have to meet people in the evening because they have jobs. And so if you're flexible enough to work evenings, you just go to people's houses, or you go meet them at a coffee shop, or you go wherever you go to have a discussion with a client. And as long as you can have a private discussion, it doesn't really matter where. So I had this office that was open, during the daytime when I could be in it. But the reality was, do I pay someone to sit here for no reason? Because foot traffic is not high. The town that I'm in is very cold. So for several months out of the year, you don't get a lot of foot traffic. But do I pay someone to sit here all day, or do I just work the way I'm currently working out of my house? And
Minnesota isn't like the Bahamas. Damn it! You just ruined my dreams, man.
yeah, no, sorry. We have all of the communism and the snow all just wrapped into one package. So no, I closed the office I think in October, and decided to move back home. So that was great. But the interesting thing though is people have they vacillated between insults trying to find the right one. But some people say it's a shipping container or whatever, and then other people say that it's a strip mall. Well, if it's a shipping container, maybe there's one person. If it's a strip mall, there's obviously more than one person on the premises. And I don't know if I'd call it a strip mall. It's a professional services building in Wilmer. There's an accountant who's been there for something like 25 years. There's a financial planner which deals with high net worth clients. There's also a barber, and there's a massage parlor, and there's a printing services company in there, and a sleep diagnostic center. So they kind of run the gambit on.
Actually, that certain quote unquote paid instigator, they said you work out of a CrossFit as well. Just to throw that out there.
That would be great. God, one of the things when I was looking for an office originally, this is a true story, deep lore on the rackets. When I was looking for an office originally, the other office that I looked at was a little bit bigger than the one that I got. The rent was similar, but it was farther out of town, and it was close to the gym. It was within walking distance, even in the winter, from the gym, and it had a shower in the office. And I was about 2 seconds from renting that place. The only reason I didn't is because my wife and I went through there for like a final inspection of the rental, and we went at lunchtime, and right next to it is a pizza place. And all I could smell was pizza. And I thought, if I rent this place, I will die of a heart attack within a month, because I'll just be. It's the best pizza place in town, and I would have been over there all day. So no, but I would have loved to worked in a place with a CrossFit and a shower. Oh my God, I had a lot of downtime between meeting up with clients and writing documents. I could easily have gone over and put in an hour-long workout, taken a shower, and then gotten back to writing. That would have been great. These are weird attacks to me. I don't understand what their purpose is, but it's a strange flex to try and discredit.
But, well, they also, I mean, they put up, I mean, it was very specific about, at first they took the one picture, and then, like you said, they put up pictures of, I mean, there was more than I put in the video, because my God, they were going out and pointing up, it was saying, oh, if this is it's a real desirable location right next to an Office Max. It has a high visibility off the highway. I mean, it's creepy. These people are freaking creepy, man.
It's weird that I would want to be located near an office supply company, a printing service company, a financial planner, an accountant, and also have high visibility from the major thoroughfare in the biggest town in the area. That's a weird place for an office, I would think. Would you ever want a place like a business to have high visibility from the main thoroughfare if you were looking for a location, Tug?
Look at it. Some of like I say, the oddity in some of these claims. It's but all of this started actually with a claim of you being, what did they said that you were not part of the law firm. I'm trying to remember exactly how they worded it, because they were trying to insinuate that you were connected to Vic's legal team. Let me see. How is the word? You're an affiliate of the legal team. That's flagrantly false. Flagrantly false. They even put up the definition of it, and they were like, well, the definition of it, officially attached to, no. Okay. Officially joining, no. Person or organization officially attached to, no. So, God, I'll ask you that.
I need to start. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, are you an affiliate of Ty Beard? You haven't said that a million times, but are you there?
Are you now, or have you ever been an affiliate of Beard, Harris, Bullock, and Hughes? No. I would love that, but they're 1,000 miles away from my house, and they don't have an active presence in Minnesota. So it'd be great to work for or with or whatever their law firm. There are very few law firms that I would want to work for, because I've never worked for a law firm. I've always worked for me. I'm bad with authority. We'll put it that way. I'm bad with people telling me what to do. So if there ever were a law firm, it would be, I would want to pick someone that I actually trusted to be a smart person who makes capable decisions and has a comparable sort of strategic approach to law that I have. That's why I like Ty. I like Ty Beard. I like their law firm. I love the Amazons. But no, I'm not affiliated in any official capacity. I'm not affiliated in any unofficial capacity. I think to do that, you would have to have some sort of contract or exchange of money, right? Like that's how I would measure affiliation.
Or you have to have a social justice dictionary, and maybe that would work too. You know, if you can stretch words to their capacity, maybe that would make you affiliated.
Yeah, maybe. Now Ty did say last night that he would be happy to work with me on things, but that clearly lays out one of the major problems with the claim, right? That means he's not currently.
Right.
And you know, they don't have, as far as I'm aware, they don't have any reason to have a presence in Minnesota at this point in time. They do their work in Texas largely, although they have some other licenses on staff. But yeah, there's that's such a weird claim. But they're trying, you know what they're trying to do, right? They're going to start trying to smear Beard, Harris, Bullock, and Hughes. That's coming.
They're also, I wondered about they put up a picture with the city of Wilmar's Chamber of Commerce celebrating your first dollar. And I thought that's kind of creepy of them, though, putting all these random people in a picture just to say later on, you know, they were talking about how you're not ethical. You're a POS. I was trying to find their exact words on here. You're a POS, alt-right, And I thought, wait, aren't all lawyers supposed to be pieces of
Yeah.
But
you've just described all of us.
You're not benevolent enough. That's what they were trying to say. It's interesting. You're supposed to be benevolent, give away services, and bow to whatever they want, apparently.
Yeah, the crazy thing is I do give away tons of service. I mean, I give away legal advice. And I'm not talking about YouTube. I could charge people a bunch more money than I do for answering phone calls, for doing consultations. I mean, some places you go and you have to pay $250 to get a half-hour consult with an attorney. I don't think I've ever charged anyone for a consultation, and I'll talk to people for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And a lot of times I'll tell them, don't hire me. That's just the reality of doing business in the way that I've done it my whole life. I might be bad at it in some ways, I guess. That's probably true. I'm sure I could monetize it more than I have done. But it also felt dirty when someone comes in and they're at the worst part of their life, and especially if you're not able to help them. Like if I can't represent them for whatever reason, or it wouldn't be, or they don't have a good case for them to spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 hiring me. It doesn't seem ethical for me to take $150, $200 just to tell them that either. So I give away a ton of stuff. But yeah, the Chamber of Commerce picture, I believe they got it from my Facebook page, my Works Facebook
that was
page.
Stalking. They always tell me that if you go off of Twitter, that's stalking. That's what they've been telling me.
Wait a minute. Tug, you can't expect to hold these people to consistency, can you? No, it's what it is what it is. But the funny thing is that they're wrong, and even if they were right, their smears aren't very good. Because the fact that I own my own law firm, the revenue, that 54,000 number in my town, would be an exceptionally good salary for a lawyer with my I've been in practice 3.5 years, coming up on 4 years pretty soon. But for a lawyer at that level of experience in this town, I mean, the big town in the area is 15,000 people.
Mm.
That's a just fine wage out here. It's not an insulting wage at all. So that's a weird flex. It's a very weird flex for people to have. I don't understand it. I don't see why income shaming is suddenly that's the left's new attack, is to shame lower than expected income, I guess. And again, even
Well,
though the number is completely inaccurate, so that's silly.
Well, especially for people that okay, one of these folks, somebody counted their tweets yesterday. They weren't finished with the day, but they were, like you said, hyper focused. They were about certain comics folks or certain people talking about Vic. 136 tweets so far in that day, and I think it was like 6 o'clock when they pulled it up. So they still had quite a few hours left, and yeah, these folks, they aren't going out there and being they're not contributing anything. There's no way in hell they have a job where they're doing anything. So income shaming, really, sorry, I don't make enough money to pay them to sit on the couch and use Twitter. Maybe I need to make more.
Yeah, maybe that's their problem. Maybe if I made more, then I'd have more money to subsidize them. I guess that's the
I
is
guess
that
that's a problem.
it's a weird one. I don't understand it, but like, I guess if that's what they want to focus on, go ahead. And I would love the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube guy.
Oh yeah, I liked that actually. I like that addition. I thought that was cool. I would love to have one of those just outside my house, just to, mess around. They actually put a bottle of Jack, I think it was, in its hand too.
No, it was Fireball, which is
Oh,
disgusting.
Fireball. That's right. My bad.
Very rude of them to put Fireball in there. I think they think I like Fireball whiskey because I drank it on that one stream with Ethan Van Sciver and Jason Youngbluth. What they weren't getting is that the whole gig of the Fireball thing was that I was trying to Youngbluth. This guy is super sleazy, in my opinion. He asked to come on my show. And then when he came on my show, right before the show, he tweeted out to his followers, "I'm going to be on this show, but don't send him any super chats." And I was like, well, that's rude. One, you're sandbagging yourself then, because other people are going to be sending super chats opposed to you. But two, you asked for my platform and then to ask people to come on. So I thought, to take it in good-natured stride, I would offer to drink a whiskey I hate for every super chat that came in from his people. That was the joke. And so I was drinking the Fireball with some regularity, and then I ran out. Thank God, because that stuff is cancer.
I remember them trying to. I remember Mark Zaid, super lawyer, trying to alcohol shame you with Fireball too.
Well, Mark Zaid is he's an interesting fellow. We'll see how
that's a nice way to put it. He is very interesting, actually.
Yeah, we'll see how that case goes. I do have an update on that case. Should I talk about that?
Yeah, if you want to. I mean, there was a little bit of comic stuff. If you want to cover a couple of little controversies there, I mean, that would be interesting too.
I would love to, because I've been wanting to follow comics, but there hasn't been much there hasn't been much room to do it because of this Vic stuff has been so it's moving at the speed of Twitter, right?
Right.
Vic's moving in real time. The comics stuff with Meyer and Waid specifically has really slowed down. And then Comicsgate itself, from my outsider sort of perspective, seemed to have really kind of tapered off and gotten to a balance. But I think that's been disrupted lately.
Yeah. There's a little drama, brewing.
There's always a little drama brewing, right?
This was pretty bad. It may lead to I mean, your friend Doug. I actually like Doug TenNapel too. I don't have any problem with Doug when I'm talking about this stuff. If things stay the way they are, Doug said he's leaving. He's done. I'm out of this thing because of the way it played out. So yeah, it could be big. Little drama sometimes becomes big drama.
Yeah. So here's the problem that I have. I can bring the complaint up on the screen, but I can't share screen it because of how I have Streamlabs set up,
Hmm.
I won't be able to show the whole document. So I can't show it to you, Tug, unless you can pull up a second tab with the stream open.
I can do that, actually.
That might
That'll
help.
be fine. I'll be delayed though. That's the only problem. You get a delay on that, but yeah, I can still
Yeah.
pull it up.
Well, I mean, there's not too much to talk about here. I'm not going to go through the whole document. It's only 3 pages, but I've got it pulled up. So once your delay kicks in, you'll see it. It should be up there now. So because I've got it pulled up on I've got the thing running in the background also. So this is the unopposed joint motion to extend time to respond to the defendant's motion to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction and to file a reply. So Meyer and Waid filed this motion unopposed and joint to extend time. Defendant Waid filed his original motion to dismiss on November 2nd, 2018. Meyer filed an unopposed motion for leave to conduct jurisdictional discovery on November 28th, and the court granted the motion on November 29th. The court, inter alia, which means among other things, allowed certain jurisdictional discovery and ordered that plaintiff's response to the motion was due by March 29th. So this would be Meyer. Meyer would be responding to the motion to dismiss. Obviously, he's going to oppose the motion to dismiss. That's the expected response. And he was supposed to do that by March 29th. The parties have engaged in discovery on the jurisdictional issues. That means that depositions are done. I don't know what depositions were all done, but I know the 2 owners of Antarctic Press, along with Waid, were scheduled to be, or not scheduled, but they were ordered by the court that they could be scheduled for a deposition. So I would have to assume that at least 1, 2, or 3 of those depositions occurred. And then from Waid's side, they had the ability to depose Meyer. So there's a possibility that Meyer had gone through deposition. I don't know who all has been through deposition, but that's done according to this. However, defendant's counsel has a trial set in Travis County District Court starting the week of April 8th. That would be Betsy Reeves, Mark Waid's local counsel in Austin. Starting the week of April 8th, and will be preparing for trial the week before. Currently, with the plaintiff's response deadline of March 29th, defendant's reply would be due April 8th, which would be during defendant's trial and trial prep. So they don't want to try and force the defendant to reply, even though they do have Mark Zaid, who would be able to presumably reply. It doesn't matter. They don't want to put that upon the Austin counsel there. So the parties have agreed that plaintiff's response to the motion will be due on or before April 12th, and defendant's reply will be due on or before April 22nd. So that's the update there, guys. We may see parts of discovery, of the jurisdictional discovery, come out when those motions are filed, or when the motion responses are filed, because they're going to be incorporating their findings into their motion to, or their opposition to the motion to dismiss. So
Somebody asked a question. I think this is a good one. I'll lay on you here. So, looking at the 2 courts of SJWs you've dealt with, not the opposition that comes in, but the SJWs attached to, say, comics versus anime, who are worse?
Oh, I guess it depends what you mean by worse. And there's crossover, right? This is a crossover issue going on. I mean, there's one particular person who I believe feeds and thrives on being directly involved in the fighting and the drama. So that person, I think, is the worst. Although I think it's funny to starve that person of any attention, if possible, because I know it drives them crazy to not be important.
I do that a lot. I do that quite a bit. If they cover something on someone else, like they're going out and threatening people, I might cover that. But if they're talking about me, I don't even care. I mean, who cares? It's funny. It's funny to see them get desperate, and their whole gig is built on that. So it's kind of beautiful in that way.
Yeah, and that person, I encourage people not to even engage. I mean, the person is clearly mentally handicapped, and I don't mean that like in the way of some sort of disability. I mean it in that her mind is handicapped from reality, from the average. So don't engage with that person because one, they're dishonest. They're a dishonest conversation partner. Two, their whole purpose is to get you fired up and deplatformed. And three, they're very ugly, which is very important to things that they're absolutely hideous.
Literally or physically? Are we going to leave that one
Yes,
blank?
all of it. No, all of
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Ugly on the inside and the outside.
There you go.
So, just I would recommend people not engage them because that's what they want. That's what they want so much. The really though the it's the same. It's not the same people, but the caliber is the same. People have rooted their bias so heavily into their side, and then it doesn't matter what you do, they are on full on attack of anything and everything. What they don't realize is that this tactic that they've picked is to their disadvantage, especially with regards to what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about law. And whatever you may think about me or my positions or whatever, my legal, I guess, thoughts are not actually influenced by some particular bias. I get called alt-right all the time, which I'm sorry to the alt-right that they would try and associate me, who is definitely not in line with a lot of your views. Although I don't hold anything against you. I know that they would not find their views consistent with mine. So
Well, their version too. When they use alt-right, they're not talking about that. What they mean, current year, they mean you're a Nazi. They're not even going to explore the idea of what the alt-right is. They call us all alt-righters, and again, I'm not no insult there, pro or con. It's just I don't need to hear those certain principles there, but they don't care about that. That's just their way of saying you're a Nazi. You're a Nazi.
Right, and in the same way, if you called me a conservative lawyer, I would actually take issue with that too, because I don't, and I think conservatives would, if they heard some of my views, they would say this guy isn't conservative, something else, right? I don't know exactly where I fall, probably in the libertarian area, but alt-right and conservative don't really describe libertarianism very well. But it doesn't matter because my legal opinions that are not actual legal opinions, but my opinions about legal issues that I talk about on the show are not informed by that ideology. They're informed by what the courts say and what the law says. And the fact that it might line up with whatever ideology you think is just because that's where the law is. The law is not where Twitter is. It's a very different thing.
Well, these people want to make things a right or left issue. And, a lot of times when I'm looking at it, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as a right or wrong issue when I'm talking about it.
Right. Yeah. It has nothing to do with morality once it gets to courts. With the courts, it's about what does the law say? The only morality is who was damaged and how do we fix it? Who's responsible to fix it? So, whatever. But the best part is, if you notice, the same thing happened in Comicsgate that's happening here. People are constantly surprised that what I've been saying about the legal side of it is happening, right? You can't, with Meyer versus Waid, you can't sue someone. You can't sue Mark Waid for that. That's ridiculous. Only a dumb lawyer on the internet would say that. And then, of course, he hires a very competent attorney in Austin who runs with a very similar theory. And then with this case with Vic Mignogna, there's no way Vic would sue. What law firm would take that? This just, again, it's some internet lawyer just trying to rile people up. And then of course, he gets a very respectable firm that is happy to take the case. And they're as far as I know, lawsuits are coming pretty soon. So that'll be very interesting to see how that turns out. But because they so distrust me and want to discredit me, they are constantly unaware of what's going on, even though I've been telling them the whole time, just telling you what's happening. You've
also told them, shut your mouth, get a lawyer. I mean, sound legal advice there. You talk about doing the nice thing. You're telling people that, they complain about monetization. Yeah, I monetize stupidity. That's fun. But, I'm also like you tell them, hey, I, I don't want you to go out here and train wreck your life. Maybe you should go out. But they got to do the opposite that you tell them. Thankfully, because like I said, I like to monetize stupid.
Yeah, I love to monetize stupid. I'm such a proponent of capitalism that I have no shame or problem saying that yes, I do enjoy making money off of doing this. That's why. Let's be honest. It's a huge part of why I do it. I think I would do it without the same level of income. I mean, I have been for a year, so I can go ahead and show that that's true because I do have a lot of fun. But man, making money doing what you like is that's to me that's the dream. Speaking of making money, do you have some time? I'd like to read some super chats.
Yeah, man, that's fine.
All right, Evan Rogers, voice of Boo just replied to your tweet to Comic-Con. Please respond. #Snakes Den. Who's the voice of Boo? He replied to my tweet. That's great. I'm very interested in that. I'll have to look. Blink Your Eyes, or Kameacon, sorry. Blink Your Eyes 1400. If one, how would Vic's rep be repaired? My brother didn't seem to want to hear why Vic is not guilty. Well, it doesn't really matter. Here's the thing. You've got tiers of influence on these people. And the real damage dealers are the voice actors and actresses. And of course the employers, right? Funimation and Rooster Teeth. And then the next step down is conventions. And then you've got Twitter. That's the tiers of importance. The ones who are influencing and impacting Vic's ability to gain employment are mainly going to be Funimation and Rooster Teeth, because their statements about Vic and the statements then of their employees about Vic, that impacts his ability to get to cons, and that impacts his ability to work at other places. So then his coworkers, being the next tier down, their statements about Vic cause damage again with employers and cons in similar ways. If he can get them to apologize, to retract their statements, and to say that they were unfounded or whatever, that goes a long way. It's not perfect, but it goes a long way towards going to a studio. And when they say, what about this stuff? And you say, well, yeah, they actually had to retract that because it turns out that in court, they couldn't prove any of it. And it's not true. And throughout the whole time, I maintain this fan base who's loyal to me and willing to support me. And that's really the ultimate, I guess, anvil for the hammer to smash upon is the fan base. That maintaining the fan base through the court stuff's going to take a lot longer. And I think Vic's career lives or dies well before the court stuff is over. And it's about the fan base being assured that the person and having trust in the person that they're supporting. As long as that happens, I think the court stuff is very important, but I think it's less important in the future than just having the fans stick with Vic and go ahead and keep energized and show that these companies that they're willing to support him when they book him, right? Like that's the whole point.
That's why I like certain cons. Like I'm very much a proponent of Anime Matsuri because they stood up. I know there are other cons that have stood up afterwards, but man, they stood up while the tide was coming in, and they listened to the people. They actually listened to people that said, "Hey, I will pay money for this." So, I'm glad that there are places out there that are hearing it. At the end of the day, these things, they're not altruistic. Yeah, they love the community, but they're there to make money. So let them make money.
Yeah, and can we talk about Anime Matsuri for a second? And sorry, guys, I know we're kind of all over from the description, but this is important. And I'm glad to have Tug on the show for this. Because you've been vocally in support of Anime Matsuri. I have as well. Because, and full disclosure, I've when I started saying go to Anime Matsuri, I knew nothing about them. I knew absolutely nothing other than they stuck by Vic Mignogna when it was down. Now, since that has happened, people have come at me saying, oh, can't support Anime Matsuri, bad business people, whatever. Can't do that. Can't do that because they have these lawsuits against them or something, right? Like that's the narrative that they're trying to push. But okay. Let me be very clear on this, because this is very troubling to me. And so I want people to understand my position, and Tug, you can give them your position, but mine is go support Anime Matsuri. They stuck with Vic in light of all the charges, in light of everything. They not charges, allegations, right? They're just these specious allegations. They stuck with Vic from day one. Go support them. Don't listen to the smear campaign, because that's what it absolutely is. Even though there's a guy out there who says that me saying it's a smear campaign will be a breach of my professional ethics. Again, none of these people understand how this works or what professional ethics for lawyers are. But no, it's clearly a smear campaign. Does Anime Matsuri have some lawsuits outstanding out there, or not even outstanding, but do they have some lawsuits in their history? Sure. They have disputes with vendors over contractual issues. My understanding is that they've resolved several of them. There may be one or two still left in the hopper. But okay, so
there were also accusations. Okay, in 2015, there were a couple of items that came out with texts that were thrown out. I think they were direct message texts. This guy, the guy who runs it, the guy who owns it, he made a comment to someone saying them being involved. I can't remember exactly what portion that is, but he asked somebody about, does that give you an orgasm? And he made 3 comments in that. He said, well, I made those because these people are my friends. They were close to me. I was joking around. They come to my house afterwards. They bring their families over. Well, when Me Too kicked up in 2018, that came up and they tried to burn the guy down. And there was some other thing about them supposedly trying to manipulate some singer. They took one snippet of a conversation, again in messages, and they didn't put out everything. I know, God forbid, they usually do that, right? But
right.
they tried to bury him. That's where the Boycott Anime Matsuri site, they have been up since 2018, but they were ineffective. They did manage to get a couple of people to turn away, but they have hooked on to this Vic thing because they want to burn Anime Matsuri and they want to burn Vic down. I talked to the founder, and I can't remember her whole title. I think it's founder and chairman or co-chairman. But I talked to her about, I don't know, about 45 minutes, and she was spot on. She allowed me to ask any kind of even difficult questions. They responded, but what they were saying is, we don't stand with a libelous accusation. We think when the guy comes there, he has always been great with fans, and that's true. You go and you look at all the people you mentioned, all of Jamie and all of those folks. If you look at their Twitter accounts have nothing but attacking folks. Look at Vic's Twitter account. It's all about, I want to do the best. I want to do right by fans. Before all of this stuff, all it was professionalism. And after this, it was trying to make amends for if I offended people. So yeah, I mean, looking at it, I stand with Anime Matsuri. I don't give a crap what these people say. They can all go to hell. I will be there. I will be there. I will be in mask. And they told us we could put on I stand with Vic, a panel or anything we want to do there, because they're not going to shut us down. They'll let us have speech. So hell yeah, I support that.
Yeah, I do too. I really do hope that I can get down there. I'm trying to work out the last few details of my homestead before I can, because I have 37 kids apparently.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to work out the last few details of that to make sure I can go. But I think I've got it locked down. I do intend to at this point. I do intend to go, and I hope to see you and Flash there, of course.
Yeah,
But
I'm there, man. I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'm guaranteeing it. So I will be there. I've already shoveled out, already shoveled out $1,700 going so far. So I'm going.
Well, if we could go and do a panel, man, that'd be a lot of fun.
But Ruben Langdon also was, I don't know if you saw the controversy with Ruben Langdon. He was, he's the Devil May Cry Dante voice actor.
Yeah, I saw it briefly. I know he's going to be there. I'd like to go shake that guy's hand because he seemed to have a reasonable take on the situation.
Yeah.
And of course he's getting hammered for it. But no, here the end of the day, look, if you don't understand the owner of Anime Matsuri's comments, or like pseudo apologies or whatever, a couple years back when they were made, they thought that that was probably the thing to do. A lot of people have tried that, right? Not everybody has stood up and decided to sue their accusers. And a lot of times it depends on who your accusers are, and the propriety of the suit. But they tried to get things washed over. It didn't work. Okay, well, that's there. Does that mean that they don't get to be people for the rest of their lives? Absolutely not. The reality is they put on a massive convention. It's a huge event in the city of Houston. If you haven't seen the convention center that they rent out, it's bigger than the Major League Baseball stadium that's next door. It's bigger than the Major League Basketball stadium, the NBA stadium that's like a block and a half away. It's a huge building. When you drive by it, it takes 30 seconds to drive by on the highway. So they have the whole place, and they work with dozens and dozens of vendors.
I think it's 2.2 million square feet, if I remember that correctly.
It's unfathomably big when you're trying to, like, if you're picturing out how much space that is, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous amount of space. They have the whole thing. And then here's the interesting part, or to me, is so the big smear, of course, is that some of the vendors have sued them over contractual disputes. And that's supposed to mean that you can't do business with them ever again. That's why it's boycott Anime Matsuri. If that's your philosophy, you can't eat at probably anywhere in town. You can't eat, you can't shop anywhere. Contractual disputes amongst businesses are very common. And of course, when you're talking about Anime Matsuri, like, we're talking about a big business. I don't think people realize how big that is. But my buddy and I were kind of mathing out some of the revenue. Just ticket sales alone is something like $3 million in revenue based on the attendance. These are big events, and I don't even know how much a vendor table costs, but it's got to cost a ton to be there. So having I think it's 8 disputes over 12 years as some sort of blemish on your record. There are many worse blemishes than that. So don't listen to these people. Of course, it's the same lying people who attach to the same lies about everybody else. And the only thing that they have to go on here is that there have been court documents filed. That's about it. So trying to paint that as some sort of bad thing, I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? The mayor of Houston.
Remember, these folks would burn your lives down very, very quickly too. If you were in this situation, people came after you, you would hope to God people would stand up for you. So standing up for people, with spurious allegations from 280 character culture, when it's gotten to the point where you can burn someone's life down in 4 sentences, I mean, I think that's the noble thing to do out here.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, here's the ultimate answer. If you support Vic, you're in the Houston area or want to go to a con in the Houston area, I think it's the second biggest in the United States, at least last year. If you want to go to a big con and see what that's like, go to Anime Matsuri. If you don't. It's amazing. We have that cool power of choice, but you don't have to be swayed by some idiot on Twitter who has no idea about any of the stuff going on. You don't have to be swayed by their latching on to a campaign for their social justice points. And they do constantly latch on to campaigns for their virtue, right? Like that's the whole thing. So, anyway, I'm very close to being able to attend. I hope to make it down there and see you guys, because I think that'd be a blast.
Yeah, I'd love to put on they offered us they offered us press passes or anything else if we want to go too, which would allow us to actually be able to conduct interviews. So we'd be able to talk to people like Vic, like I said, they've been very upfront about their desire to conduct a con, and they're listening not to a few screeching harpies online. They're listening to consumers that are saying, I'll drop real coin on this thing.
Right. Let's see. Okay, back to these chats. Sorry, I got derailed right away. I'm so bad at this. The Texan, the Texan 83 says Germans driving fast on their autobahn. Don't they know the speed limit in New Zealand is only 100 kilometers per hour? So unethical. I should report them. Hashtag paralegal. Let me just say hashtag Canadian paralegal on that one. I've been arguing with a Canadian paralegal about American lawyer ethics. And then the creme de la creme of that conversation was when someone said, so wait, in Canada, a lawyer can be disciplined for things that he said outside of representation. And the guy said, yeah, here's a case that went to the Ontario Supreme Court about it, and he cites it, and of course it's within, not only within representation, but it's literally in the courtroom. so the guy lacked decorum in the courtroom multiple times, even after being told by the judge not to, and that was his evidence that lawyers could be held liable for unprofessional behavior outside of the legal process. So good job, Canadian paralegal. You should probably, if you worked for my firm and you were my research assistant and that's what you brought me, I would have fired you on the spot. What on earth would I have to do with that document? And it's in the first paragraph, Tug. It's in the first paragraph of that document. They would have to go because you could never rely on that person to provide anything. John,
what's up with all these paralegals trying to throw out advice at you and failing miserably? I remember another paralegal telling me about how, all the ethics and stuff that you're violating. And I thought, you have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know. I am not going to pretend that I am even a Twitter lawyer, but I still know more about the law than they did. And they're claiming they're in, it's scary to me. It's very scary.
Oh yeah. But the funny thing is that there hasn't been an actual lawyer to come out and talk about their side of this. And you notice that with Meyer versus Waid, prior to them hiring one, there wasn't a lawyer who actually agreed with their side. And if I'm not mistaken, even Leonard French and Leor Lesser kind of looked at it. And I don't think they worded it as strongly as I did because I'm kind of like that, and they're not. But wait a minute, I'm hearing. Oh, just refresh the stream, guys. It's still there. There must have just been a hiccup. But I think I worded it stronger than they did. But the long and short is that none of them thought that Meyer had no case. They all kind of thought he had some sort of case. Right? The question is always about damages and stuff like that, not about whether or not what they did was correct. They can't get people to, they can't find a lawyer who ideologically supports them to the point that he's willing to subvert his legal understanding. And that's got to drive them nuts. So they rely on these paralegals as some sort of experts in the profession. And it's, no shame to paralegals or anything like that, but that's not their job. That's not what they're trained to do. Weirdo with a cello says Ron Soye is an insult to soy. That's brutal. Fancy Flight says, quick question, completely unrelated to anything. Are clowns and mimes racist? Yes, of course. Whiteface is a tragedy on our society and should be stopped at all costs. Finn Frog says, bow to your chinquisitor, you worms. Talonseer says, boomer is late, post ponies. PGN Deku says, at least though you get great mileage with the freight railroads working out of a shipping container. Forever 229 says, hey there. That's for you.
There we go.
Yeah. Izzy Bolden says, oh my God, you got Umbrella Guy on your show? Yep, happy to have him. Rusty Shackleford, loving the channel. Keep it up, dude. Coger52 says a big, what was that? A big y'all? Oh, I lost it.
Oh God, they're messing with me. I tell SJWs, they co-opt all kinds of stuff. One word I hate to see written now is y'all, because these SJWs, they throw it in like 9 or 10 times in a statement, and it's it just burns my brain out. So I'm sure I'll get like 40,000 y'alls after I said that.
Well, and I noticed that the apostrophe on this y'all is in the wrong place. So it's ya apostrophe LL is what they used, but it's the actual one is Y apostrophe all. So good job on that. Hopefully he did that to troll you intentionally. Green Jacket says, why can't these Kick Vic dummies stop tweeting? They're addicted to it. Ty Beard's Beard says, gay/late. It's cause of your weak beard, isn't it? How dare you? My beard is strong. Don't hurt its feelings. Magherd, I'm in the big time. Vic, codename Othello. Oogie Boogie says, I'm gonna keep this short. I have Full Metal tattoos on my arm and hand. Cashier at Hot Topic asked if I knew the Vic situation and how disgusting it was. And then I told them, you got to be crazy to believe that. Look at the lack of evidence and the goings on with the voice actors. I stand with them wholeheartedly. They proceeded to trig out, and I just left mid-sentence.
That's awesome.
Good job. Good job. Tassia says, hey there, Nick. I hope there are no hard feelings about my coup to remove you for the beard. The letters are coming. I still love you, but the beard is very charming. Well, I've got, I think, how do I say this? I think you'll be seeing the beard, on the show with some regularity at some point here to help bring updates to the Vic situation as it goes. I think that might be a possibility. So I do hope to bring him back and help help him, or have him help keep us apprised of the situation from their end. And I think I might have that worked out, but I gotta, I can't make any promises, but I think we might see the beard on a more regular basis soon. So I hope that excites you guys as it excites me, because I always love talking to Ty. Also, since Tug is here, he has to say y'all for me.
Oh no, y'all.
Do you not like y'all, or you just don't like that they took it?
I don't like the written form of it anymore. I don't mind it. I mean, you can tell from I'm from South Wakanda, obviously, from my accent. So yeah, I mean, we have that here. But yeah, I don't like the fact that I see someone from the middle of New York or Michigan, and they've co-opted it into their SJW narrative. I see them using y'all and K, and it's ridiculous. They have a certain set of things they've taken away, just like the tippin' fedora. They destroy good things. They always destroy good things.
Yeah, well, there's also the other thing I hate is the that they've destroyed words. I was ranting about this the other day. They've destroyed words like gross, creepy. Now they're taking yikes. Like, I haven't seen the word yikes since I watched Coyote and Roadrunner like 20 years ago. Yikes disappeared until the past month. Have you noticed that now on the internet, people say that's going to be a yikes from me, or there's a meme out there, you get one yike. Like, why are you taking and screwing up yikes? Go eat.
It proves they can break anything, though. I mean, when they break words that, like I said, I was ranting about the whole thing of fedoras. If you look back on the 1950s or even earlier, the 20s, 30s, people look cool, man. Noir, the whole noir setup. And now you look at what these people have done to that, with their little trilbies and their giant heads. It's gross, man. It's gross.
Yeah, I don't like it. Sakaki Onsai says, for a second, Nick, with the yellow and green, I thought you were rooting for Oregon in the NCAA tournament. Both men's and women's. Go Minnesota. I don't care what Minnesota does in the NCAA tournament. This is my Brazil World Cup soccer jersey that my dad brought me back from Brazil. So let's see. Synac8 says, Dear Nick, I am reporting you to the bar, not because of any of your YouTube videos, but because you dare say that Cane's Chicken was good. It is trash, a third world restaurant in a first world society. Wow, shots fired. I think that dog's going to come bite you. Andrew War Snowboard says, Iago equals idiot, always getting owned. The legendary Devil Hunter Dante says, hey there, Tug.
Hey there. Hey, props to him and Sakaki Onzai, too. Props to both those guys.
Yeah, Legend of Blue says, y'all better be ready to shout out y'all. The guy from that thing says, Ty was wrong. The F-22 is the best bird in the sky. Stealth of a B-2, speed of the F-15, the ability to tap dance around any SAM system on Earth. Izzy Bolden says, hey, Nick, give me your best Tug impression. Well, I just did. Hey there.
That's pretty good, actually. Yeah. I think that's good.
Well, I think I could talk a little bit like Tug from time to time. A little bit. God of Plague says, just finished the lawsuit saga. That was epic. Oh, thank you. Sadly, I think the VAs are less prepared than Maddox was for court. I think at this point they are. Hopefully they get more competent representation. Let's see. This is from, let's see. How do I say this? Liazer. Asensio says, tell Tug my name is pronounced L to the E to the A to the Zer, like in laser. And Nick, you actually got my last name right. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, I butcher names, man. I tell people that all the time. I will butcher your name. Yeah. I usually shorten it. If I'm looking at it and I can't get it right off the bat, I go to enunciation. It took me forever to get Sakaki Anzai. So
yeah, me too. Because we're just reading these things and it's crazy. Let me do just a couple more and then we'll get on to those ethics complaints real quick, because I think that's kind of funny. Sinrius Akari says, paid in replies, attention from celebrities. That's the people on Twitter being paid. I think they might be also. I think there's a possibility that some of them are paid in dollars. Not a ton, but Intelligence Debuff says, how do you think these people would react if this kind of thing happened to one of their family members? Do you think they would throw them under the bus or turn around and ask for proof? There's a very famous recent happening of this. There was a woman who was she was like the head of some Voices Against Sexual Assault type organization, Listen and Believe very much being a part of their messaging, and her son was accused, and she stepped down and said that she demanded proof.
I remember that, actually. It was very, very ironic how that works out. You know, I love that they try to weaponize that statement a lot. What if that were your daughter? You know, okay, well, I can play that game. What if it were your son? You know, let's play that game, because we saw that happen. What if it were your son? Right.
It's that's the ultimate thing. Is this the world you want for your boys? And now I know all the lovely blue hairs out there with no children. And their Mars barren wombs or whatever that they have. I'm just kidding. But all of them out there, this drives me nuts. The people who either have who don't have kids, or who have kids that are too young to have any idea of what's coming. Like when to have any idea that their boys will act in a specific way just because they're boys. Like that's coming when you have children. You get surprised by it constantly, and there's not much you can do about it. But here's the thing. They observe the behavior of males and they follow that behavior. So when you have that happen, those notions of, well, I'm going to teach my children to be different. Well, no, you're not. You can't do it. There's something, either it's genetic or either it's the greater societal nurture. You would have to lock them in a room and try and psycho impose some sense upon this child without having exposure to popular media, without having exposure to friends and family. Like, how are you going to do that? How are you going to insulate them in that way? It doesn't work the way you think it will.
And I mean, we're talking about, okay, if you're talking about daughters, if something terrible, God forbid, I have a kid, I don't even want that thought coming into my mind. But if something did happen there, I don't want false allegations out there muddying the waters. I want victims to truly be represented and not create more victims. You know, that's all this garbage right here that we're seeing. We are not advocating for victims when we go out and burn someone down on Twitter. We are creating more victims, and we're, like I said, we're muddying the waters where we're victims of terrible things. They basically, nobody wants to believe them, because hell, why wouldn't we be trigger shy about it?
Right, exactly. It's I can't think of people who want protection for women more than I want for my daughters.
Right.
I have 3 of them, and if anybody did anything to them, and I got my hands on that person, they would be ended. Whatever. I mean, that's just the reality. I can't imagine that. But I also have 2 sons, and I know that if one of them were accused, I would be on their side until I had proof. And even then, I mean, I would be on their side, though not approving of their behavior and the damage that it's done, but in trying to get them whatever help they needed to get beyond what caused that, and to make sure that justice was done to them in whatever way is appropriate. But the idea that we would just automatically believe and discard our own children or our own brothers or our own fathers, just discard the possibility that they aren't monsters, is silly. Like that's beyond me. I hate
Our
it.
own ethics. I mean, that's the reality. These people are telling us throw out everything that you believe because what if? And excuse my wording, but fuck their what if. I don't care what they
Right.
say.
You don't have to excuse your wording to me, but if you want to, you're welcome to, but you don't have to.
All right. Well,
Uh,
I forget the channels. Some people are here though. Yeah, I'm sure you're you're whatever I want to say. As long as I tell people as long as you don't have channel banning words. There's a few of them, but
yeah,
everything else is okay.
we all know what those are. We all know what.
Yep.
Okay, so Soyboard Panboy says, "Hail Nick, hail Tug, hail WC hashtag Blame Curry campaign." There you go. Do we want to talk about that pretty soon?
Yeah, we
The
can. You sure? Yeah, we can.
the Comicsgate stuff. Okay, I'm gonna do 5 quick chats, and then we'll do the Comicsgate stuff and kind of, because you've been more involved in what's going on than I am, and I would love an update. Key Dragon 86, thank you for the donation. Izzy Bolden says Ron Toye's been watching too much Law and Order. Nasenda says, isn't testimony only admissible as evidence in court? Well, I mean, it is admissible as evidence in court. I don't know that it's only admissible. I'm not sure about the question. But yes, I mean, you can bring testimony into court. The question is who gets to provide the testimony. One of the paraded talking points is that they're going to bring all these women to testify against Vic, but those women aren't going to likely get to talk. Because if you got to bring in a parade of people opposed to someone's character, then you get to bring in a parade of people that's bigger for their character, and it's just impracticable. So they'll likely just not be allowed to speak. Their voices will be silenced. The victimization will continue. That's the narrative, of course. Kristen B says, have you seen the ITC fire fiasco going on in Houston since Sunday? I'd be interested to get your take on it from a lawyer's point of view if you've seen it. I have not. I'll see if I can look into it. It might be interesting to cover on the stream. I have some family down there, so it might be maybe who might have some resources that I could check in on that and get a different perspective too. I'll check. Pub Test says, press F for Ron helping with a service address. Good job, Ron Toye. Okay, man. Talk to me about comics.
All right. Now this is gonna for people outside of this sounds ridiculous in some ways, but at the same time, I think this any small ridiculous drama can become bigger, still ridiculous drama. So Comicsgate. If people don't know about Comicsgate, essentially people are burned out on mainstream comics for a variety of reasons. I always boil it down to products professionalism. All right. Well, people have been making their own products, and in doing that, of course, you can't get any media to actually cover them. You can't get any place to list them. So basically, you've had people create infrastructure. Well, part of that infrastructure was IndieCron. IndieCron was a place that listed just Comicsgate items. It was Comicsgate exclusive. Now, it's gone through several transformations. When it started out, it belonged to one person with a spreadsheet. I helped out a couple of things. I don't want to take much credit for doing anything, but it basically went from that. 3 guys took it over, and they were running it, I thought, pretty well. Now, in Comicsgate, you have personalities that cannot get along. I mean, it's just part of it. There's a guy named Crypto. That's somebody to keep up with in this. The guy named Crypto, he and a person in Comicsgate War Campaign, basically, I'll call them, since they're monetized, I guess they're professional memers now. But Yeah, I guess when you get monetized and people give you money for it, I guess you get to be professional. So they're professional memers. You know, they go out, they have fun with what they do. Some people don't like them. You know, I personally think a lot of what they do is funny, but you know, you can have your point on that. Well, they ended up getting going back and forth with this guy, Crypto. One of the statements that guy Crypto said is that he would use Indiegogo campaigns. That would be Comicsgate. Like if you're going and you're backing a campaign for a comic book, he would get in touch with people that are on them. He would get friendly with them so he could dox people that he didn't like. He says that's not what he was saying, but he pretty much clearly said that. You know, it's out there. If he wants another meaning to that, well, sorry, you know, that's what it sounded like. So this guy, when he got involved in certain Indiegogos out there, well, one of the people on Comic-Con, they said, "Hey, I don't want this guy involved in a book." Booted the book off of there, and it created a shitstorm basically after that. Doug Tenaple, he was very passionate about the fact that this was wrong, and he said some. How you know how Doug is?
Which part was Doug saying was wrong? Was the doxing the
The
wrong part,
booting,
or
the booting of it, because
the
okay,
booting?
the
Okay.
guy let me clarify. There's a project out there, Handyman. This guy that said he would dox people. He had edited some portions of a book or helped with some. I'm not sure. He had a minimal interaction there, and the the guy with that project, he was saying, "Hey, you know, I wouldn't do that," and Doug was saying, "Hey, it's wrong to boot this guy. The guy's Comicsgate. He's not going to dox people." Of course, the people running the site were like, "Fuck it. Why would we take a chance on that?" You know, and when Doug said that, you know, again using Doug language, Doug had a little to drink on a stream, a little too much, and he said a lot of things. He screamed a lot about this person being an SJW that was involved, and after this happened, IndieCron, it unceremoniously booted a couple of people that they say they were promised part of that website. In fact, I would love to see a stream throwing all those people together and letting them just, you know, blood for the blood gods. I would love to see it carry out. But Doug,
Well, hey, IndieCron guys, and Doug, you know, there's a channel that's hosted a couple of these Comicsgate debates that I think we could make something like that happen. If y'all happen to see this and are interested in that, I'd be happy to host that. Tug, I have to pause you for just a second. Is that okay?
that's fine. Yeah.
I got an urgent text from a Mr. Ty Beard just a minute ago, and we have breaking news. And the breaking news is that his I think, hold on, let me make sure I get this 100% correct. Tell Tug that my wife and I like his shows.
All right, man.
So there you go, from Ty Beard to you, good sir. They like your shows.
Hey,
so.
that's awesome. Hey, Ty Beard, you're like I don't know, you've become like a superhero in our stuff. Like I stay up to ungodly hours. I have to get up at 5 most days, sometimes earlier, but I stay up ungodly hours to watch Nick Rekieta sometimes anyway, but when he's on every time, so
yeah, me too. But no, sorry to pause you. I want to say a couple things real quick so that people know where I stand on this. Where I stand on this is, well, one, I don't have any opinion on the issue because I'm just catching up on it. But sure. I've been friends with Doug since meeting him, and I know that Doug is a man of principle and character. So whatever his opinions are on the subject, I know that they're genuine, whether or not they're right or wrong. And so I'm very interested to hear that. As for the war campaign guys have always been nice to me, and I found them very, very funny. I don't have really any problem. I know some people do have problems with the war campaign guys and how they conduct themselves, but that's up to those people. Right. I've never been given a reason to dislike them personally or anything like that. And as for the IndieCron guys, I don't have much exposure to them, but I don't have any reason to dislike them. I would say that it's unwise to suggest that you would use access to things to dox people. That's unwise. That's an unwise thing. But I know things can get said in heat. But I think it'd be really interesting to get some discussion around this.
And creators don't know. Here's a problem I get into. A creator, I stand on both. I'm conflicted here because I obviously doxing that's reprehensible. At the same time, creators sometimes they ask a guy, "Hey, can you edit this for me?" They have no idea what kind of internet drama some dumbass is into. So, like I said, it's a conflicted thing. I think it's spun into an insane thing. Nobody will be happy about the way that I told that. I was very irritated with some of the stuff Doug was saying, but with Doug, a good thing with Doug is that he'll say what he says. He will allow you to say what you want to say, and that's that. I like that about Doug. So right now that's gotten to the point where Doug is pretty much the way I understand it. I do not want to put words in Doug's mouth, but the way that I've understood that, he's saying, "Hey, I'm done with this Comicsgate thing. I appreciate everybody there, but this is just crazy." So I don't. I hate to see it go to that point. Doug is a good guy. He's faced all the problems that we say we want to stand up to. So I hope, like I said, things can get fleshed out. And if people need to yell at each other, cool. Like get on a damn stream, yell at each other, and get it out of your system.
Yeah, what happened to that? Where like we yell, or I mean, heck, it used to be you actually had a fight, right? Like you threw some hands, you had a couple drinks, you threw some hands, and then bloody a nose or two. Thank God not this one, because it would break in a second. But you bloody your nose or two, and then you go back and you have a couple drinks and you're friends with newfound respect for each other because you worked it out. And now maybe we don't always get to put on some gloves and toss them around, but you get on somewhere, you yell at someone and you say what you need to say and you get it off your chest, and then at the end of the day everybody knows where they are. There's nothing wrong with that. That what I was saying about Doug that I like about him is like whatever his opinion is, whether it's right or wrong, I know it's genuine with Doug. He has built in me the trust enough of his character that he's not saying something surreptitious. It's what he believes. He wears it very openly, and sometimes that gets him in a little bit of trouble.
Well, it took me a little while to get used to Doug. At first, I'll be freely admit I did not like Doug when I first met him, but you get to know people, you get to know their character, and I got to that point, where I actually appreciated what he was saying, and like I said, he is very much. He also, I noticed something. There were some people out there that just flagrantly insulted him that come from the mainstream comics. They said, it's okay that his job was burned down, his livelihood, pretty much. That guy, he still considers that dude a friend. This is a guy that if he's your friend, I guess he's going to be your friend forever. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for updating me on that. I mean, it's very, very interesting. All I saw was Twitter with Doug going back and forth with people and like lots of yelling, but over Twitter. Yelling over Twitter is ineffective.
Right.
You gotta get the.
It's been it's been an interesting little shit show like I said, we need an outlet like this that will have everybody on and pretty much moderate to a point, but still let people, like I said, at the end of the day, I don't know if it'll fix anything, but I always feel better after I yell at people and get it out of my system.
And the last one I did was the one with, it was the 4-way one with EVS, with Malin, with Englentine and Unranked Chevron. And for better or worse, I think no, not for better. I think that was for the better. In what came out of that, and just putting, letting people know where everybody was. I think that's a really important part of some of these movements. I find it very interesting to me because I thought Comicsgate was stable and cool. It seemed to be just kind of running on autopilot for the past couple months, and then to have this thing kind of blow up like that, and have this giant conflict and people saying they're in and out, and something with I saw there's I'm trying to remember her name. but there's a popular sort of person on Twitter who's adjacent to Comicsgate and has supported numerous campaigns, apparently getting some flack or whatever. And I know she at least used to watch some of my streams and stuff and participate there. And what was her name? But she was saying that she's going to be out of Comicsgate or something, and all sorts of weird stuff. It's
There's been an argument about funding. Here I'm very vocal about the fact that for better or worse, I want to support people that have put their livelihood on the line for whatever. That idea, Comicsgate. Anyone that has attached that label to themselves in some way, that's a stigma. And these people have tried to destroy them. So I like the idea, again, better or worse. I want there to be a lister that tells me who has actually associated themselves with it, so I know where my money goes.
Bean from PA. Bean from PA is who I'm talking about. Thank you
Bean.
to the chat. Yeah, Bean from PA is the person.
That's more interior drama too. I think that's a war campaign drama as well.
Well, I guess we can blame war campaign for that one.
Yeah, I think like I said, there's a lot of stuff and personality conflicts. People are not going to like each other. That's the reality of something. But when you get involved in this stuff, people I think get to the point where they attach it as part of them. It's a hashtag in a lot of ways. When people insult you for it, they're insulting tens of thousands of consumers. But when you talk about it, you're just saying, hey, I want better comics and I want people not to act like jackasses when they're selling it to me. Respect my money. So I don't know. I think when people start attaching that to themselves, I think that's when you have problems. That's when you have conflict.
Right. And no, it's not Mindy Wheeler. Mindy Wheeler did her own issue. I don't have much sympathy left for Mindy and Mike Wheeler.
Stripper app. Hey, did you ever look up their old? So that's a hilarious situation. Actually, they got mad. All of that blew up because they wanted to build an app. Well, this wasn't the first app they'd built. In fact, Mike Wheeler's first app was actually how to track your favorite stripper. So I thought that was pretty good.
How to track your favorite stripper?
Your favorite stripper.
He made a stripper stalking app.
Yeah. How you keep up with your favorite strippers? Yep.
Do you like clip a GPS tag onto her or something?
Oh,
like when you go to stuff the one in the G string, you like throw in the GPS tag on there too with a carabiner or something. Yeah. How do you track a stripper? No, actually, I don't want to know.
Yeah, this is what
zero to do with that.
You might end up with an ankle bracelet and get tracked yourself if you find out too much.
Yeah, Mike Wheeler is a source of the overwhelming majority of 1-star reviews on my law office, actually, because he was really mad that I had that. Mindy came on and she said that their business partner had stolen comics from their shop, that he was skimming comics was her word. And that guy contacted me and said, no, I wasn't. Can I come on your show and kind of try and clear my name? And I said, okay, whatever. So I had him on a couple months after I had Mindy on. And he says, I didn't do any of that. And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know Mindy. Mindy was nice to me. So we had a good conversation. You've been nice to me. We've had a good conversation. I don't know the facts. Like I can only take your two stories. And so the people have to decide who they believe. Do they trust you or do they trust Mindy? And I left it at that. That was the worst sin I could have done to the Wheelers, apparently. So the Wheelers, they got really mad and started 1-starring my law office on Google and writing fake stories about how they were in jail because of my representation and stuff like that. So
they did some crazy stuff, man. We started, I went through, I did a pretty in-depth live stream on their stuff. They've participated in some very questionable GoFundMe's. They actually had a big back and forth because they ran a convention back when, and Yeah, it ran into they sell it as they were attacked by the SJW. It looks more like they might have screwed some people out of either money or whatnot. If you listen to their stories, anyway, I'm not saying that's true or not, but yeah, it didn't sound like they were being piled on by the SJW. It seemed like all of the stuff that connected them sounded like just another business opportunity.
Yeah, they have schemes, is what it looks like.
Mhm.
I had a friend who was he always had a scheme or a plan to make money, but it was never just like do a business and work hard at it. It was always like, I'm gonna do this for 2 years, and then I'm gonna shift things over here for a year and a half, and then my big plan is to do this, and then I'm gonna open a dojo. Okay, why don't you just open the dojo and work on that? Do you have a black belt yet? No, I don't. I've never even trained in whatever. So wait, where were you going to get the experience to open the dojo? Like, where's that going to come around? But that's the impression that I kind of got from the Wheelers when I started looking into it, was they had schemes rather than just work at something. It was always these little temporary projects that they were gonna help make it big. But
Hey,
I don't
can I
know.
ask you a random question on another thing? So
Yeah.
Shane, your favorite Shane that was on here, Mr. Holmberg, Mr. Poor Chair. He's been screaming about wanting to take two at you. Like, would you be open to having him back on again?
I can't figure out what he wants to talk about.
Yeah,
So I'm not
that's what I'm wondering.
I'm not
Oh, sorry.
opposed. I'm not opposed to it, but what are we going to talk about here? That's what I don't. That's what I don't go. Oh, and real quick, Siren Jag asked me to say this. I hope he's still awake. Siren Jag, unfortunately for a couple of people, sing this part, Nick. You know the song. You know that pig and elephant DNA just won't splice. I actually don't know the song, but there you go. Pig and elephant DNA just won't splice. Sorry, buddy. I don't know the tune, so I'm not going to sing it. But getting back to that, I can't figure out what Shane's goal or objective is. So I'm not opposed, but I don't have much motivation. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of people would probably love to see it. It would probably make me a lot of money to bring Shane on and just destroy whatever argument he's going to come up with. But I don't really like, that's not super interesting to me. The stream that I did with Shane was, I did not intend to do what happened, right? He said that I don't understand some law, and I said, yeah, I do. And he said, well, why don't you have me on your stream to talk about it? So I thought we were going to come on. He was going to tell me about something. I was going to tell him why he was wrong and why I was correct. And then that was going to be it. It was not supposed to be the bloodbath that it ended up being, but he decided to be weird. He decided to be really weird on the issue. So now I don't get what he's after. But I mean, I'm open to it, I guess, but I want to have a purpose for it, because I don't want to just come on and have to randomly like ream him out.
I could see that. I'd wondered,
Weird.
I saw him tweeting about it. Oh, and I kept thinking, didn't Rekieta make enough of a fool of you already? Why do you want to come back on? I
Well,
mean, gee.
let me tell you what I think. What I think happened is, I think Shane knew about the Kamehacon stuff that I talked about. And I think he knew what was going on behind the scenes. And I think that he wanted to either get me to release information about it prior to when I had any sort of authorization to release information about it, or I think he wanted to get out ahead of the narrative about Kamehacon and start to sell like Vic as trying to bully his way in or something like that. That's all I can think of, because his timing on it was so interesting. First of all, he tweeted in the middle of my show, which isn't a good idea because I'm not checking Twitter, right? Like, I'm not checking Twitter while I'm doing a live stream. But it was very urgent, and it was right before, I think it was Monday night. So it was right before the Tuesday shenanigans, and that very heated stream I did on Tuesday. So if I just put those pieces together, to me, I think it was related heavily to Kamehacon. I'm not sure exactly what his motives were, but I think he either wanted to release information, he wanted me to reveal some sort of information, or he wanted to get out ahead of that story and try and start shaping the narrative. I can't think of any other motivation he would have than that. The timing's just way too convenient, and it seems like he has let up on, but I haven't really looked at his stuff, but it seems like he's let up on the let me on your show thing over the past day, but I haven't really watched, so I don't know if he's been pushing on it again.
You know, when you drop into this bucket of crazy, yeah, I sometimes I tune them out after a little while. I just wondered, like I said, I wondered what his end game is. That's kind of fascinating. You know, him also representing a convention actually, I don't know, surprised me. You know, when I found out that he, you know, that he helped shape policy for a convention, that you know he's one of those people that's speaking on the behalf again of a place that wants money from us. I think that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's really funny that convention's tweets are now protected. That just doesn't seem like good marketing.
No, not at all.
But you know, and then he sort of hinted, although I don't think he overtly said it, but he hinted that he was involved with Akon, and Akon came out and shot that down. Was like, no. And it turned out he used to be involved with Akon, but no longer involved with them. And they didn't seem too happy about him representing that. And I think it's because exactly what you're saying here, right? Like these conventions want fans to come and spend money. That's the convention side of it. That's the business part of it. And to have someone out there misrepresenting who they are and potentially aligning themselves with Akon really probably scared them because I don't know that Akon's anti-Vic or pro-Vic or not. I haven't seen much chatter from them about that. Do you know anything about that?
I don't. I need to go in and check out. I think I'm almost to the point where I'm going to go through each convention, you know, and look at them. I do find one thing I did find particularly fascinating is, you know, DC Douglas, our favorite bathroom filmer. You know that guy.
That guy's great.
Oh man, he is. He's a load of. I mean, he's a meme by himself. Well, that guy, you know, he's been particularly vocal about accusations, basically making him not go to cons or cons should drop people. Well, he goes to a con where, again, I'm not accusing a guy of anything here, but a guy that runs I think it's anime. I can't remember if it's Midwest or Anime Minneapolis. He runs 3 of them, and DC Douglas goes to every one. That guy's been accused of some particularly reprehensible stuff.
Weird. So that's interesting because that's in my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'd even be allowed in. go on the scene.
They probably want you to come in so you know, they could try to get you arrested for something.
That'd be fun. Always love interacting with the fine people of law enforcement.
There you go. That's a perfect way to put that.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we got? Eduardo Ramirez says, "Are you going to donate to DSP's tax fundraiser?" I don't even know. I don't know what's going on with that. I have no idea. Alexia Hollis, I wonder if they heard the phrase "Don't bite the hands that feed you." Yes, correct. The fans, don't bite the fans that feed you. That's that. Elias Anwar says, "Me and my wife confronted Anime North regarding Jamie Markey attending, and they blocked us. Something is very fishy on how these conventions operate." Really good chef says, "Legal thoughts on the Jim Jeffries hidden cam tape." I have no knowledge of that. I've been almost exclusively following the Vic stuff.
That is magical. So I can't remember the name of the guy who he was invited on to Jim Jeffries, of course, and he set down his phone, set it on record, and it recorded his entire interview. And my God, I mean, the way that they framed that interview versus the reality of what was asked and replied, it is, it's not surprising, but it is. It's surprising how flagrant. You know, it'd be like me and you sitting down and I ask you a question and then cut an answer from the beginning of when we were talking. I mean, it's
that bad.
Yes, it's very bad. They made a he was supposed to be talking about, immigration. I think like I said, I can't remember if it's New Australia is the newest shooting. I believe it was in New Zealand. So I
Yeah.
think it happened there. So they go in. This was filmed a month before. They go in and retroactively create a narrative that's about that, and they put him in with people that again, the Jim Jeffries show agreed not to do all of this stuff. It is an absolute amazing shit show. You would love it.
I'll have to look into that. You know, I got selectively edited on that New Zealand thing. Because I had Josh Moon, the owner of Kiwi Farms, on, since he had gotten requests from the New Zealand from a detective over in New Zealand, asking him to take down the archive that Kiwi Farms had up of the video, asking him to take that down and to preserve user data, like IP addresses and domain name information about Kiwi Farms users, because they could in New Zealand they could face prosecution for even just anyone who even looked at or commented on the thread about it. So not even people who downloaded the video, but people who looked at or commented on the forum thread about it. And he basically told him to piss off. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But so I had him on, and we had some laughs. You know, not about the tragedy, right? Like the shooting is an abject tragedy. Humans taking other humans' lives on a large scale is awful. And before anybody does the whataboutism, yes, it's also awful when Islam is involved in killing people on a daily basis. Absolutely, absolutely. So it's not like some special tragedy, but it is tragic. And we had jokes. Like, I asked if New Zealand tried to haka him over email, which is a haka is like an intimidating Maori war dance, right? From the native New Zealand population. And it was just a joke, but man, that the publication ran with that, talked about how I giggled as Joshua Moon discussed the shooting and stuff like that. And it was like, wow, this is way, way out of the context of what was going on. I was giggling at his reactions to the police and telling them to F off, because that's what I do for a job, right? But man, that thing got cut. That video got cut way out of there. But thank you to New Zealand for watching my show. Welcome to it. I hope you stick around. But
there you go.
But it was
at least they're watching. At least they're watching there.
Yeah, it was wild to see, like, the representation that I got from this New Zealand publication was like, okay, well, I mean, I guess what am I going to do? Change their minds? But I did get a nasty Facebook message from a New Zealander who called Josh and I despicable human beings and stuff like that. But after about 10 minutes of messaging back and forth, the person said, you know what? Thanks for talking this out with me and clearing it up. Blessings to you. Have a nice life. And so we got that patched up, cleared up some misunderstandings, but it was a fun time.
That's crazy, man. You know, it's crazy how the places that have the freest speech on the internet, you know, the places that are demonized all the time, it's absolutely amazing. We're losing more and more of those, and how they're presented. You know, it used to be the 4chans or the Kiwi farms. I mean, you don't have to love them. You know, they don't. You know, they cover things how they enjoy. I mean, they do their own thing. You don't have to love them, but you need to respect the idea that at least you know there is a portion of the internet that's still subscribing to the idea that you can speak out, you can do something.
Right, and here's the thing. Like, the person who I was talking to from New Zealand was trying to tell me that it was this awful thing, and that other people are going to use the video for propaganda. Like, well, yeah, but they already have it. So taking it down from Kiwi Farms isn't going to change the propaganda. It's not going to change the propagandization of it. And the video doesn't make the shooting happen. The video didn't cause it. The video is the result of what happened. And taking it off the internet is only going to drive traffic to find it. That was the big mistake of the New Zealand government, was trying to get so much control over the situation that they produce a Streisand effect, and they draw inevitably much more attention to it. In my opinion.
I've always thought, I actually think You know, when we take away this, when we sanitize murder and loss, like when you go back and say you look at videos from World War II, what moved people? Videos of concentration camps, people suffering and dying. It tells you that it's real. You know, when people go out and they hear about someone trying to go and murder more people than the last person. I mean, it doesn't have any impact anymore. But man, you see people suffering, and maybe that'll wake a few people up. Nothing else is waking people the fuck up. So, you know, you need to do something.
Yeah, I've been corrected. It's Maori, not Maori. Sorry, I apologize. I've only ever read the word. I've never had it spoken to me that I know of. So Maori. Thank you for correcting that. Okay, next one. Dave Youngson. You may have covered this already, but does people threatening to organize a boycott and harassing a con to drop some from the guest list be classified as TI if, say, 2 or 3 parties were in Texas? It would be. Here's the thing. So the underlying theory of TI is a much older theory than social media, and it's not really prepared for how social media works. So I believe the way courts look at TI are they're looking for something with a little more influence directly from a single actor, rather than like you organize a boycott of something. You actually kind of have a right to do that. You have a right to assemble people and organize a boycott of some entity. That's okay. What you don't have the right to do is as a party contact a company or a thing through an inappropriate channel, a contract holder through an inappropriate or non-public channel, and interfere with the contract in an inappropriate way. Now, it's obviously not as broad as just interfering with a contract, because as some people have rightly pointed out, that means anytime you call customer service and complain about like an employee or something, then you'd be tortiously interfering, and that's impracticable. So that those types of communications are generally privileged unless you're lying overtly about someone. But I mean, if you're just trying to organize a boycott on social media, no, that's not going to be TI. What's going to be TI is if you contact someone who's involved in the contract and induce them to breach in some tangible way. That's where it gets in. It's not just like blasting it out there and having them do it. That may be defamation. It may be all sorts of things. But tortious interference is that really kind of personal. Think of how personal you have to be with the other person to convince them to break their legal obligation. You either have to be very personal and trusting with them, or you have to lie so convincingly that they're willing to do it. Or you have to have some sort of power over them, like maybe another contract, for example. So I hope that clears that up. Stalin Falcon says, Tug, did you show Nick the I'll Get You Off Doc's blackface version of that Twitter pic? We need that made into a t-shirt. Monetize. No, I'm not going to. I've seen that picture. That was the one with my office picture, but it says, I'll get you off, Nick Rekieta, which is a great, that's a great slogan that doesn't bother me at all. I think
I want to share, like, Rekieta was right. People were like, you know, I've been saying, you know, in videos, hey, Rekieta's right. And they're like, that should be a shirt. And, you know, it should be these days after so many damn lawsuits, you know, it should be.
Yeah. I'll think about that one. That's a good one. Rekieta was right, but no, I'm not going to monetize a blackface shirt. I think it, again, in another land, in another time, it would be funny to do it because it's just jokes. It's just jokes. But you know, people have a perception that it's inappropriate, and I don't actually have any intention on stirring up or messing with that perception. People are entitled to that perception. That's fine. And I don't really intend on kicking that hornet's nest personally. But in another world when jokes are okay, sure. Again, no malice was ever intended by it, so I'm not going to apologize for it, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. Kadak1 says, the big question is, do you still have and use the inflatable tube man? These people don't realize that you probably need a permit for one of those inside city limits. Typical signage and advertising stuff, especially one that's distracting to drivers, you have to get permission from the city I don't have a tube man. I don't want to deal with that. Although it'd be fun. Maybe I should put one up at my house. Sad Eagle Gay Frog says, and poof, just like that, semi-autos are gone now in New Zealand. How much longer till it happens to us? Will 1776 commence again? You got to ask Alex Jones on that one. That was my third story today. The third story was about the Missouri. Missouri's trying to pass a bill to preserve the Second Amendment within the state of Missouri. Basically saying that they declare that the Second Amendment and 10th Amendment are still valid, and that therefore, here, I'll just read it. All federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations, whether past, present, or future, which infringe on the people's right to keep and bear arms as guaranteed by the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 23 of the Missouri Constitution, shall be invalid in this state, shall not be recognized by this state, are specifically rejected by this state, and shall be considered null and void and of no effect in this state. Such acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations include, but are not limited to, the provisions of the Federal Gun Control Act of 1934, Federal Gun Control Act of 1968, any tax, levy, fee, or stamp imposed on firearms. I mean, this is BTFOing the entire National Firearms Act, which is amazing. That means that in Missouri, if this were to pass and withstand constitutional scrutiny, fully automatic weapons would be available without a tax stamp as long as they didn't leave the state of Missouri. I mean, what do you think about that, Tug? I don't know what your stance on guns is.
I'm again from the U.S. South. You know, there are more guns in the there are more guns in the town that I'm in than there probably are people. So yeah, my house,
as God intended.
Yeah, exactly. My household. I don't want to. We'll say over a dozen. Let's just go with that. Like that. I don't want to give a. I don't want to give a number there. But yeah, I mean, I believe in responsible gun ownership. I grew up in a time where, if you went to school and someone parked a vehicle outside, they may have a gun rack in their vehicle.
Right,
there was
yeah.
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just things the problems that we're looking at are much more detailed that we're going to have to solve than people having firearms. People, they find ways to kill each other. They're very good at it. And people like to give away their freedoms they like to give them away very cheaply, just like speech, weapons, anything. I don't want to give the government any damn thing. It's mine, screw them. If I choose not to have it, well, that's okay, but I'm not giving it away for free.
Well, you better answer this question then, Tug. What gives you, what reason do you have to own a fully automatic gun?
Because I want one.
What? How dare you? How dare you suggest that your own desire and edification is sufficient for you to make a life decision?
Because I like to hunt rabbits with I want to hunt rabbits with a fully automatic
like
M16.
I want like an M60, right? Like with the belt
I want to own a tank.
Yeah.
I was looking through a magazine one time. It was a Russian magazine, and it was talking about things that you could buy, and it had tanks. I mean, they had been they still had not been gone. They hadn't gone through deprocessing or anything. So I believe they still were fully functional at the time. It was amazing. I thought, I want a tank. That would be pretty awesome, like a fully functional tank.
Did you ever see the Killdozer? Are you familiar with the Killdozer?
No.
It's a guy who got so pissed off at his local government that he took his he had a big bulldozer, like one of the
Oh monsters. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, covered it in cement slabs and then just went to town rampaging. Like that's like, it's like that Michael Douglas movie Falling Down, but with a Killdozer. Yes. It's wild. No, I think this is good. The problem is, here's the Supreme Court argument, and the likely decision on this is that the firearms are regulated under the Commerce Clause, which the Supreme Court has, over the course of history, so ridiculously expanded as to render the 10th Amendment basically irrelevant. So that the 10th Amendment, of course, being that any rights not delegated to the specifically in the Constitution are reserved for the people in the states. So gun regulation should be a state right as opposed to a federal right, and the Second Amendment technically only applies to states or the federal government, and then states insofar as the 14th Amendment guarantees. But this is different because this is just saying that we don't recognize any of these federal acts imposing gun restrictions on guns inside this state. But the way the Supreme Court has ruled on the Commerce Clause in the past is that something never even has to leave the state to be considered a part of interstate commerce. Because let's say, for example, you mine the materials in Missouri, you source all the labor from native-born Missourians going back to the founding of the state. You do all of the production and all of the distribution in Missouri. You have no internet involved, so there's no communication leaving the state about it. Everything is done in Missouri. And you go to a store that only does business in Missouri, like let's say the factory sells them right there direct, and you go to buy that gun. Because you bought that gun there, and you could have, in a weird fantasy world, bought a different gun in a different state, they say, and now you won't, they say that affects interstate commerce. So, which is crazy. And it comes from one of the worst decisions in Supreme Court history, which is Wickard versus Filburn, where Congress put a cap on the amount of wheat you could grow. Something like a certain amount of acres of wheat could be grown, because wheat prices were through the floor and they wanted to bring them up because the farmers were having trouble. So they put a cap on the amount of wheat farmers could grow to choke off supply and then raise price. One guy, he grew his quota of wheat to sell, and then he grew some wheat for his personal use to feed his horses, to make flour and stuff like that. This is back in the late 20s. And Congress said, nope. And they fined him for it. And he sued and said, this is my wheat. This is the commerce wheat, right? This is the wheat that I'm going to sell. And you can't mess with my own personal wheat. And Congress said, no, you grew that, but because you grew it, you're not buying wheat from someone else. So you are engaged in interstate commerce. Even though in the 20s, the likelihood of buying wheat interstate, but from a farm, like a farmer to a farmer, buying wheat interstate is nonsense. You just buy it from your neighbor. But you buy it from the grain exchange in the local railroad hub, right? But that's what they ruled. This is going to be over. Unfortunately, it's a good act in concept, but it's going to be overruled by the Supremacy Clause and the Commerce Clause that says that the feds get to take it over. So really, really stupid rulings are dictating. And that was thank you to the worst president, FDR, the guy who stood for nothing. That was a FDR New Deal sort of regulation to get farmers back in the saddle, and that's where that Supreme Court case came from. And I believe, if I'm right, since I think Wickard versus Filburn was decided in 1934, I think that was after FDR had threatened to stack the court if the Supreme Court didn't start ruling in favor of his New Deal, because at first they were striking it down left and right. And he said, listen here, you scumbags. If you don't start ruling in favor of my Supreme Court, I'll appoint 10 justices to outvote all of you. So that's FDR, y'all. True American hero. FDR. I'm not a big fan. I don't know if did I convey that?
I couldn't have gotten that from that. I didn't. I thought you would be a huge fan. I was kind of channeling that in till the end of it. Thanks for clarifying it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I got a bunch more super chats. By the way, I don't mean to impose and keep you. So if you have to go at any time, just let me know and I will let you exit out. But feel free to stay as well and interact, because I love talking to you, man. We don't do
hang up for you. Yeah, that's the fun of things. People are if you don't pop up on a show like at least like once every 2 weeks, people somebody was asking me not too long ago, do you and Rekieta, or do you and Yellow Flash, do you guys get along? I was like, why do you think we don't get along? Oh, well, you're not on there. Well, what would we have to be on like every week? We get busy doing our own stuff plus living, so it is nice to be able to hang out though.
Well, here's the thing with this situation with Vic specifically, it moved so fast. I mean, 3 weeks to destroy a career. And then the news about once things started, they hit that pivotal bottom point, and then we all started streaming about this thing kind of around the same time, and the news started to build momentum. Every day felt like a week of news as we were catching up on the backstory, as we were catching the developments, as we were going. And in many days, some of the days still feel like a couple days have passed each day. And there seems to be always something to talk about. So I think people are getting, like, we've only been covering this story for like 7 weeks, 7 weeks at tops. Right. But it feels like months and months and months of coverage because there's so much to talk about. So many parties involved.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that still hasn't been covered. Some of the stuff from early on, for myself, I try not to put out more than every now and then I might drop 2 videos, but I try not to put out more than a video a day. But there are things like A&N that need to be covered from the beginning. And I find myself wanting to loop back to those as well. I know, like, they put together, their intention at the beginning was to put together a list of predators. They were compiling a spreadsheet of it. Polygon even put out an article about it. The only problem that happened was their founder for A&N ended up on the list. Oopsie. They had to go and demolish that. Well, videos on that, that should probably be 2 videos the way that I look at it. And, one on the guy actually being flagged to make it clear, and one on the other. Well, there's not a lot of that stuff didn't get caught at the beginning because, like you said, it was moving so fast. There was, in those days, there would be 9 things to cover in a day.
Right. And so I think people get wrapped up in this and they think, oh man, I've been watching, and people are consuming, your content, my content, Flash's content, Hero Hayes content, Senpai, Emish, all of these different channels, and people are just watching and consuming all of it. So then they probably get the idea, they've consumed all these videos and they haven't seen people on streams. Well, it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, we were just on streams maybe 2 weeks ago. And before that, a 2-week spread would be not even much at all. So no, I'm glad to do it. But yeah, I think it just feels like things are moving so fast that people,
when you look at what's happened, that's, somebody we were talking about before, who's worse, comics or anime? I don't know if the people are worse, but what is happening in anime is much worse than the iterations that came in comics. Yeah, you saw people's careers, they tried to burn them down, but they tried to loop them towards like, ism or phobia or calling you a Nazi. Here, they loop you into the worst thing possible, not just a sexual predator, but, in many cases, a pedophile.
Right. And comics is a little bit of comics has its own cool niche because producing a comic book can be done with one person with the right skill set. It can be very simply done by 2 to 5 people. Producing a video game, for example, takes I know they're indie devs that are one person studios, but it's much harder. It's a much bigger project than producing a comic book, for example. And the same thing with anime. Like, you can't just get the licensing rights and do as one guy and do your own dub. You need many more resources than that. You have to get the licensing. You have to get the other voice actors. It's a collaborative project. So while comics, they did have people whose careers took a big turn, those people were able to very adeptly, if they had the clout like EVS, very adeptly monetize their own talents within a particular community, if they had that opportunity. Same thing with Doug, of course, with Bigfoot Bill. They're able to be successful outside of the industry as a 1-man or 2-man operation on some of these things. Whereas with voice acting, it's more insidious. You have these gatekeepers that you can't get around the fact that Funimation owns the rights to some of these things. They just do. So if you want to do a voice on Dragon Ball, you're going through Funimation, you're going through Sabat, or Sabat, or whatever his name is. That's how it's going to work. So that's what's to me so insidious about the anime stuff, is that that if you're out of voice acting, which is very clicky, very clicky. If you're in the out group, you're out of work, and there's not much you can do to recover. You have to.
And we were talking about amount of damages done. Like, I've been thinking about the idea. All these people love saying, Vic, he didn't plan on having an actual lawsuit. He was just trying to collect that $100,000. And I thought the damages to this, I can't even begin to factor up that. I mean, just from the cons alone, I don't know how much he makes per con appearance, when he pops up, how much he, is selling autographs. I don't know how much money comes in from that, plus projects. But my God, I mean, when you look over a lifespan with that per year, even, I mean, that's got to be an insane amount of money these people cost him.
I did some basic calculations on it, but I mean, if you assume, like, let's say you assume $40 for a signature, right?
Yeah.
And let's say you assume that he has, I've heard his line can be hundreds of people deep. But let's say you have 100 people deep per day on a 3-day con. I think that's fair, right? So you got 100 people, $4,000 a day, $12,000 a con. And that's just as a baseline. So we take that and we take 12,000 and then multiply by 15 cons on the conservative side. It's $180,000 of income just from the conventions, just from 1 year. Now, this particular year, of course, he's the voice of Broly. Broly was huge right at the beginning of the year, right at the beginning of the con circuit. He's got Dragon Ball themed con with Kamea Con that could be wildly popular and profitable. Those types of things could spike that number even higher. So, I mean, and that's assuming, the $40 charge. That's assuming 100 people per day at his table. It could be, numbers could be higher or lower. I don't know.
I would think they'd go higher because you get pictures in there and everything else. When you take a picture with a guy, my God, and that gets that stuff can get up into some huge numbers. But yeah, just throwing a $40, I think that's a very lowballed, a fair assessment because it's pretty lowball there. And that's a $180,000 just for cons. I mean, as a very conservative estimate, in my opinion. My God, man, you don't even recoup that portion with your GoFundMe. These people,
No.
I feel like a lot of these people, they've never seen money, and
that's why they haven't. Look at Shane. I mean, not to be rude to Shane, but his perceptions on the reality of all this stuff, and you look at the way that he's living. I mean, this guy says he's been in IT for 28 years, but frankly, it looked like he was living in a tiny apartment or something. And there's no shame in that. But like, who's he to talk about someone who on a conservative estimate is losing $200,000 of income per year? I mean, he has no concept of what that level of income means. And what the costs associated with maintaining a life, a $250,000 a year income encompasses. If I'm sure high net worth people, Tug, they live in a different world of problems than the rest of us. They're always talking to money people. There's always people after their money. They've always they've got revenue streams from multiple sources, because usually people's money doesn't come from just one place. When you get up to a high net worth thing, you're talking about multiple sources of income. You're monitoring all of those. There are potential problems and disasters, and losing any of them can be really troublesome. So, when you start getting up into those higher dollar amounts, like, your life is very different than if you're just working at a job making even a pretty good wage, and that's your sole source of income. But I mean, Shane doesn't look like a guy who's touched six figures, especially if we're getting to $200,000 and $300,000 of income. He doesn't look like a guy who's ever touched that kind of money.
Right.
And yeah, and you know, some of the people on Twitter, some of the critics certainly haven't. They're too young. Very rarely do you find someone in their early to mid 20s that is touching that type of income. Um, they just don't process that, right? And so then yeah, I think you're right. They don't fathom the amount of money involved. I mean, when I started looking at how much money was involved in the cons and just how much money these cons are bringing in from ticket sales, it's like, oh my god. Plus you got vendor stuff. Plus you got you know, I mean, you've got, I would assume they're getting cuts of like food courts and stuff like that from the thing, because they're bringing money into these places, and it's a crazy amount.
What made me think about cons, actually, Dragon Con actually, when it first started out, most people don't know about the history of a lot of these cons. It's there are abusers out there. That's one of the things that I hate about what we're looking at too. We could be hunting out real abusers, making sure that they face justice, but instead we we have a distraction like this. Well, Dragon Con, it was initially started by I believe 3 people, and one of them was a pedophile. He ended up getting convicted of it, but he used the money that he got, because, well, he got 33% of it for, I think, 14 years until they finally forced him out. He managed to use that to stave off going to jail, and actually he managed to fight it off until, he was convicted of abusing 3 children, and he faced 36 months probation, in-house arrest.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, he was making like huge amounts of money, and that's what got me thinking about how much money is involved in cons, and also the danger. I've researched. I found people that are connected with, well, with Dragon Ball, for example. One of the person, Gerard Jones, that Americanized Dragon Ball. That guy was a sex offender. In fact, he got caught because he uploaded a video of, I believe, an 11-year-old, if I'm remembering correctly, being, we'll just say, abused by 2 adults. He uploaded it to YouTube, actually, for some reason. And after they investigated him, he they found videos that he had made where he had abused children as young as 1, is what the report docket said. So,
Gross.
yeah, horrible stuff. Though that kind of scum needs to be hunted down and taken out of this games, because you don't need those people in contact at cons. But a guy that hugs people because fans are endeared to those folks, yeah, that's not abuse. That's different. These people are letting these people are letting true scum go, because we're, again, all of this time that I'm not saying we're wasting time, but if they didn't do this, it'd be a different matter. We could maybe be looking at people that truly are offenders out there, and making conventions safer.
Wouldn't it be interesting if some of these voice actors were offenders?
I would put money on it. I would put money on some of them being that. I I just, I wouldn't say who, because obviously, but I mean, every field has had them so far. Even every niche portion of a field, like My Little Pony, for example, they've produced three so far I can think of, and you go in. uh, Ties to Star Trek, ties to X-Men movies. I mean, you keep finding like offenders. So voice actors, oh yeah, I bet you money. There's a few. I think, well, there has been one that was arrested a few years back. They were throwing his name in. I just can't process who he is right this minute. But they were throwing him in, comparing him to Vic. But I would bet there. Oh, go ahead.
I've heard some interesting thoughts about. I'm not going to name names, 'cause I wouldn't want to defame anyone.
Right.
I've heard some interesting thoughts about at least one of the voice actors involved in this Vic stuff. Some very interesting things about skeletons in that person's closet, and that some people are very, very surprised that that person would be involved in this because of what they know about him, right? And Shane hinted at some of this, right? We used to do things like, ew, Shane, gross. But we used to do things 20 years ago that were not okay, but certainly aren't okay now. But they were swept under the rug then. Well, who's we? Who's we, Shane? he tried to like make that implication that that was Vic, but from what I understand, Vic is not someone who hung out with Shane in the way that he represented on stream. So if Shane was lying about hanging out with Vic, but Shane was hanging out with someone and has ties to some people, I don't know who, in the anime community, he may have talked about who he has ties to, but he did say we did things 20 years ago that were not okay. I mean, I'd be really, really interested to know what those things were and just who we is.
I want to know what okay, he posted a comment saying that he's worked at cons where, abuse complaints have basically just been thrown away. He knew about it. He worked at those. I took it as you were part of throwing them away. I'd like to know what specific cons you're talking about there, buddy. So not just the people. I mean, these people, the implication they've thrown out is that voice actors are not safe. That's the way. If I were an outside layman, they've made voice actors look like monsters, and they've made conventions look like rape halls. So good job indeed.
Yeah, very, very good for your business there, guys. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: some of those voice actors might be monsters, and
yep.
Wouldn't it be interesting? Now, I mean, who knows? Who knows who's going after what? Wouldn't it be very interesting if Beard, Harris, Bullock, and Hughes were able to get a hold of a victim or two, and to find out a little bit of information, and I mean a victim of maybe some of the other people. In fact, I'll ask people, if you have been a victim of this and you would like to reach out to Beard, Harris, Bullock, and Hughes, but you're concerned about your anonymity, you can contact me, and I would have an absolute oath to protect your identity to the point that you ask me. I would have an absolute oath. So if you need to, if there is a victim out there, if there is a victim of any voice actor, Vic included, who would like to contact me and tell their story, it will be kept on my attorney oath, my ethical obligations, anonymous, barring any sort of thing. But if you need to talk about that situation and see if it would be helpful or whatever to the attorneys involved in this, I would be happy to facilitate that communication. So that's kind of just a toss out there to anyone, because I think there's some victims lying out there. Not lying. Yeah. Laying out there,
laying in wait to be discovered. Yeah,
and so far the focus has been on Vic Mignogna, but I have a feeling that there's victims of other voice actors, and I'd be real interested to talk to any of them. And again, I'm the type of guy that you can talk to, and I am bound by law to not disclose what you say to me without your permission. So that would be it'd be an interesting thing if anybody wants to reach out.
A thing too that we ran into with comics. Okay, there was a certain alleged. I'm going to put alleged there because I believe in due process. I put this in every video I talked about. A alleged offender, that was associated with DC Vertigo. Eric Esquivel. Eric Esquivel, his name came up in allegations, and an interesting thing happened. Nobody would talk about it. We actually started doing videos about it. I did multiple videos covering the accusations and on, because no outlets within comics, no outlets out there, period, attached, and no pros would talk about it. It was like, in fact, we were attacked for bringing this stuff up. We're attacked now because these folks, the other side now, the same people that tried to silence us for talking about that says, well, you brought that kind of stuff up, well, you're talking about Vic. Hey, I've brought up all the allegations against Vic too. I've been very upfront about my feelings about Vic. With the other side of that, with the Eric Esquivel stuff, I brought up due process quite a bit. Try not to let my feelings get involved. Although it's interesting when those listening believers get in that. So yeah, if there are stories about these folks, I am of the opinion that it gets shut down. And you can see that in process. When ANN, I was talking about earlier, put together their sexual predator list, they had their founder pop up on it. They did not listen and believe the person. They said they knew the truth behind that, and they pretty much killed this sexual abuse listing with 34 people attached to it. So they will shut down a narrative if it doesn't suit them. If they're the people that are the ones supposed to be reporting on this stuff. Well, yeah. So I keep everything confidential. Obviously, I'm not bound by that, but I'm not going to burn a source on anything. That basically will waste you as a, nobody will trust you after that. And I like knowing the landscape. I like knowing who an abuser is or isn't. I mean, when I understand that, and like I said, there's possibly proof out there. We saw the allegations again. I'm not saying he did anything wrong or not, but we saw Neil Kaplan. He was accused, and when Neil Kaplan was accused, we had Ron stepping up and saying that dude, he's a good guy. It's only one accusation. Forget that. Focus on Vic.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting to see the disparate response they've gotten, but yeah, I'm gonna do some more chats here. Juicy Bioner says, how could Nick make only $50K a year when he has 30 kids? Well, it would be a lot tougher than it is. Let's be real about that. But I'm exceedingly blessed and have been for a very long time in my life. X Varna says, Tug provides the smooth jazz daily updates with story time. Nick provides the legalities, epic rants, and occasional jump scares from slamming safe doors. Yeah, sorry about that. Keketh Stan Jones says, could enjoy that Duke if you worked with him. Yeah, I do. He owes me some Duke bourbon when I'm down there next time. Which I'll be in Texas several times this year, so hopefully I'll make it down. Seth says, Tug, I love what you do. Angel Rin 89, message for Tug, y'all.
Satan, man. Bunch of freaking internet Satans.
Simulated internet friend, new business idea, Nick Rekieta's Law Time Pizza and Gym. I can get you a good deal on an Oliver Wendell Holmes animatronic. No, thank you. Kill All Pedos says, yo, Nick, hit up my good friend Alan Beck. He's a Second Amendment attorney from San Diego. He's on appeal in D.C. challenging the Fed bump stock ban. Last year, he won a published open carry case in Federal Appeals Circuit 9th Circuit. Get him on. He's CA9, but 9th Circuit Court of Appeals. Get him on. I'll have to send him a message, but it's always about who answers them. I got to tell you, I have so many unanswered DMs on Twitter that I'm trying to get through, but it doesn't stop scrolling. Jay Cephas says, when Southern warriors like Tug and Nick die on the battlefield, they are taken to Yalhalla.
That's awesome.
Power Cage says, hey, buddy. Izzy Bolden says, what's your favorite pizza place? In Wilmer, where my office was, it was Giovanni's Pizza. Giovanni's Pizza in Wilmer is good stuff. It's good stuff. What is my overall? I don't know. Tug, do you have a favorite pizza place?
I don't really eat pizza right now. I'm trying to avoid carbs because
sure. Yeah.
I'm trying not to die as I get older. So, I try not to channel pizza anymore.
Yeah. I try to stay away from it in general, just because I'm not the biggest, I don't dislike pizza, but I like other things more than pizza. But there's a hearty meat pizza at this Giovanni's place, and it's like sausage, bacon, Canadian bacon, hamburger, pepperoni, and like a whole pig or whatever. It's just, it's good. It's good. It's a good pizza. I love that. And it's got extra cheese to make it healthier. Bjorn to Kill says, question, why won't sharks eat lawyers? Answer, professional courtesy. Timothy Reaper says, that office location sounds perfect. If you win the case, celebrate with pizza. If you lose, console yourself with pizza. Yep. It would have been nice, except for that smell was too good. I would have been eating pizza all day. Takaki Onsai says, most of the trolls that are trying to out you think of lawyers from TV. They're thinking you should be like the LA law lawyers. What fluffer mutters? Yeah, it'd be very funny to be like there's no building over. There like 3 or 4 stories in our town, so there's no like there is no corner office of a high rise in Wilmer, Minnesota. So that's funny. Mega Vigorot says these people couldn't even pay for Pridemore's rent because none of them can hold a job. Ouch.
That's true. They couldn't even earn. They couldn't even make $5,000. I mean, that is pretty sad.
Well, that to me that just shows their level of support, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll see some GoFundMe's pop up for these people, but I think they know what happens if they put up a GoFundMe.
I think we learned that though with comics and other stuff. You know, when we saw these people, virtue on the internet is free. You know, you go out there and you chase that that current year clap. You know, you want that applause. Yeah, that's great. You know, it's very free. Did you ever look into? Do you ever look into? God, I can't remember. What the con that failed, the diversity con. God, I'm trying to remember its name. Universal Fan Con. Did you ever look into it?
No, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, it looked terrible, but you know, the mainstream media, everybody else picked up on it. And the Twitter accounts attached to it, they had tens of thousands of shares and hundreds of thousands of likes. They managed to sell after their Kickstarter, they managed to sell less than 60 tickets, even though they got hundreds of thousands of likes, because likes, they're free. They don't mean shit. Nobody invests anything in it.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, and of course, the people who are who would be trying to get their GoFundMe's going now don't even have that. I mean, they don't even have the like inflated support. It's gone. They're getting nothing on social media.
Right.
That guy from that thing says, "Are you familiar with Jim Caseman? If so, I'm sorry." No, I'm not. Any idea who Jim Caseman is?
I have no idea.
I have a feeling I'm going to look it up later and hate life. Alan Taylor says liking Fireball should be grounds for disbarment. Yes, absolutely. Well, public defenders need liquor too. Bad Player says daily reminder that Thomas Allmendinger is a cuck. That one blew me away, right? The Thomas Allmendinger one. I could read it real quick. I've redacted it. Here, I've got it pulled up on Stream Tug if you still have the tab open.
I've got to pull it up now.
Okay. I'm gonna scroll down to his complaint first. They sent it to me in reverse order. I'll scroll down to the complaint. We'll read it through. And I apologize. Thomas Allmendinger has added some profane words, and he says I said them, which is probably true because it was on Twitter, I'm guessing. But I have to read some of these very profane words, and I'll try and censor them out. But you guys will see them on stream. I don't want to offend your sensibilities. Complaint. Oh wait, here we go. Let's of course do this. Complainant number 1, Mr. Thomas Allmendinger. I do have the home address, email, and phone number. They've been obscured. Respondent name is me. Has my public address and no phone number listed. Relationship to lawyer other. It should read none. Thomas. You have no relationship to me. Your only relationship is filing this ethics complaint. I've never heard of you before today, before yesterday. But now I know that you are a long-running chair of SakuraCon. I find it very interesting that seems like SakuraCon might be trying to attack me, and I don't know why they would have any motivation to do that. But I might reach out to SakuraCon and talk to them about the activities of one of their chairpersons, because that's very, very strange to me. Complaint. I feel. That's how you know when it starts off. I feel. We know we've got a problem. That things he has said using both YouTube and Twitter platforms in which his accounts are named after his law firm, as well as use his law firm's logo, may have breached the code of ethics. The first thing I felt was unethical was in a video where he listed out where, in listing off potential targets of a lawsuit, he includes someone's employer over things the person said. How ironic, right? That like I don't have an employer, but he has said it's not right to do this, but he's telling it to my law dad, right? He's gone right to law mom and dad, the ethics board. I don't feel it's right to list off targets of a potential lawsuit. He includes someone's employer over thing the person said. Well, that's how lawyers look at things, you dummy. As well as conventions and venues stating convention statements could be state action if the convention is held in a state-owned venue. That's actually just sound legal reasoning that is possible. Oh my goodness. Referring to someone who may be in the lawsuit as a little B word, using the term cuck. He's got it time-stamped so they can find me saying cuck. On Twitter, terrible. On Twitter, he also referred to the same person as Mrs. Beta. Oh, so it must have been Ron Toye. Are you submitting documents with this complaint? No. Here we go. Let's see how that worked out. So, of course, we have determination that discipline is not warranted without investigation. And as all of these have said, in your complaint, you state that Nicholas Rekieta has made statements on YouTube and Twitter which may breach the code of ethics. You state that Mr. Rekieta provided a list of potential targets of a lawsuit, one that I'm not involved in, importantly, and that he stated in a YouTube video that statements at a convention could be a state action if the convention is held in a state-owned venue. Also in your complaint, you state that Mr. Rekieta referred to a party in a lawsuit as a little B word and used the term cuck. On Twitter, you state that Mr. Rekieta referred to this party as Miss Beta.
Holy crap, I just found a picture of this guy. Holy crap, this is amazing.
Yeah. And then they go through and they basically say, outside the scope of representation, hit the streets, right? Hit the streets. There's no, what are you going to do? He's not your lawyer. He's not the other party's lawyer. He's not anybody's lawyer in this case. What are you going to do? What are we going to do about it? Here's the quote. Although a lawyer is personally answerable to the entire criminal law, a lawyer should be professionally answerable only for offenses that indicate lack of those characteristics relevant to the practice of law. Let me explain for those in the back what that means. It means only the reliability for truthfulness, basically. Perjury, fraud, that type of criminal lying behavior, or civil lying behavior that has been shown in court, that's the type of stuff that is sanctionable on an attorney outside of representation if they're engaged in activity that is defrauding or otherwise unlawfully lying to someone. Other than that, you cuck, I can say whatever I want that's insulting and ridiculing to people you like or don't like or have your crushes on. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why these people just still don't get it. But you get a bar card and you don't give up your First Amendment rights. That would be silly.
It's just ridiculous. The way that started out, though. Oh my God, he brought up someone's he brought up their employer. Hey, by the way, let's get you thrown out of employment. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, of course, right? Of course. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. John Smith says, will you have Augustus Sol Invictus on? He's also a lawyer, and I think you will have a lot to talk about. I've been in contact with him. I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to having him on. It's just I've been covering this other stuff, and we haven't talked in like a month or two or something. Mr. Armageddon says, at some point in court, both sides may have to argue on if Vic is a public figure or not, right? Who ultimately decides if he is or not? Jury or judge, whoever the fact finder is. And does it happen early on in proceedings or later on? Later on in proceedings. The public figure doctrine will be determined by the finder of fact as part of the final determination. And the public figure doctrine is an argument, and for Vic, it's a very, there are good arguments both ways, so it's hard to call that one. No One Important says, your interview was so amazing with Beard, but I missed it. So here's the donation I would have given last night. You and your friends are doing amazing works. Keep up the justice. Thank you. Dawn Painter says, here's 2 shots on me. Tell Vic we love and support him. Thank you very much. Ron Elm 2000. Nick, you're a centrist. Welcome to my world. There you go. Night of Hopex. Shouldn't you have to have an adorable face to be considered an orca? I'd say she's more of a porca. Teehee. Oh, rude. We're being very nice here. Wise Anwar says, not even the Dragon Balls can fix Kick Vic. No One Important says, by the way, do you know about the tweets from Amanda Lee about all this? That's Amanda Wynn Lee, right? We were talking about, Doug?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure there's not a different Amanda Lee.
Not that I know of.
Another realization of how awful, ugly a VA really is. You know what I found interesting about Amanda Wynn Lee? In some ways, she kind of looks like Misato. That creeped me out. She has some similar features.
It's kind of creepy, man.
SJ Jar Jar Binks says, can the same people countersue if they incur damage from Vic? Depends on where they incur damage from Vic. Right now, what has Vic done to cause damage to anybody? That's the ultimate question. Vic hasn't said a word. He hasn't said a word in what, a month? And before that, he made 2 statements. So I mean, in theory, yes, if he were to cause damage to them by his actions, sure, they could countersue. For now, though, he hasn't done anything to anybody. And suing someone is not grounds for countersuit because the suit causes them damage. What you do in a lawsuit is privileged from that sort of stuff. So unless you blatantly lie with malicious intent about what's going on, so long as Vic brings a case in good faith, I mean, they could try and countersue him, but they're not going to get very far. She's not Misato. Oh, she's not Misato. Amanda Wynn Lee is not Misato. She is Ray. Is that what people are saying? She's Ray? I don't know. Tug, do you know?
No.
Okay. Well, if she's Ray, then she's Ray. And, well, that means if she dies, she'll come back. Well, a clone will. That's weird.
There you go.
Robert Uzzle says, hey, Nick and Tug. It's me, Rob Uzzle. Listen, Nick, I tried the low-income helpline and no go. UTD, my college, is discriminating. This is urgent. I can't send any more than this. Please help me, man. I'll have to see what I can do. I don't know. I'll reach out to my network in Texas and see if there's anybody they know that does pro bono work for people in your situation, or would take it on a contingency. I can't help you much, buddy. Unfortunately, you're way outside my jurisdiction. Kyoto Films says, Schimmel and Sabat are at C2E2 in Chicago and have panels. We'll have to attend these dumpster fires. I hope he doesn't take the pain train to the con. Phoenix76, thank you for the donation. KRI Headquarters says, wish I could go to Anime Matsuri. Give them my love when y'all go. Definitely. Awais Anwar says, hashtag SJW may cry. Spread this for Dante's VA. I gotta get Ruben on the show, man. Have you who had him on the show? Was it Flash?
Well, Flash got to talk to him. It was actually a channel called Toy Bounty Hunters. If people have not checked them out, they're small, they need it. But he did a live stream with them and invited Flash on. Lucky bastard, man. I was like, man, I'd like to get on that. But apparently they said that they may be able to set up another live stream with him. So yeah.
That's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll reach out to them and see what they want to do with that, man, because that would be fun to like get, a few people involved with. I'd love to sit down and just, talk with him. And if the person, I would give the person putting it on a choice. They can grow some audience with their channel, or, if they wanted someone else to help host it, I would give them super chats for the day or something like that. I think it would be a lot of fun just to let a bunch of people on, like I said, just talk to the guy.
I think they've invited me to come on. I'll double check and make sure and respond. And even if I'm not on, I'd be happy to signal boost that and let people know where to find them. Because I mean, Ruben's facing some heat, and he's going to be at Matsuri, right? So hopefully,
he was announced after that. We actually that was one of the things he was asked for. That he faced heat He's gotten some heat before because he's not PC, and after he did a live stream with like a yellow flash, some of these websites out there like Reset Era, the people on it went absolutely insane.
Oh, Reset Era is funny. You want to talk about
Yeah,
people who have never seen a dollar in their life? You just look no further than
exactly.
Reset Era. Wait, Reset Era.
There you go. That's exactly
Oh,
it.
how embarrassing it must be to be these people who are so intimidated by a differing opinion that you must block and ban them, even if you think that they potentially might have a differing opinion in the future. Oh,
Mhm.
gosh. Super Sentai guy says George R. Brown, the convention center, is beyond massive. Hope to see you guys there. That would be fun, buddy. Come find us. Justin Tom Ford Pink Kush says, is there a way that people that can't go can support? Maybe. I don't know. I've got to talk to the Anime Matsuri people about that. I've heard that question before. So maybe they've got something in the works. I don't know, but it would be great to be able to support them.
Sakaki Anzai had a good idea. He said he was going to host some people going. I thought that would, if you can't go and you want to host like some different people, to help put other people there, because one of the things, it'll go two ways: money, but also, I mean, you put more bodies there, they count how many people show up. So, if you show that Vic was there, it was one of the places that we all stood up for, and we end up with more people attending. Hey, I think that actually helps out too.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring people, bring your friends. Maybe we could. Wouldn't that be funny to crowdfund like a scholarship fund to bring people to Anime Matsuri? God, that'd be great. Like bring high school kids to Anime Matsuri from like a foster group home or something like that, and that'd be a cool sort of project. I wonder how we could
I
get some.
think the lady that, God, I can't remember her, Denise something. I can't remember her
Denise
last name.
Lay.
Yeah, now she was well open to doing interviews, and so I think somebody should have her on again and ask her about some of that stuff. I think it'd be good questions. Like, is there a way that people can support if they didn't want to send somebody there? Although, like I said, I think that would be the best way to go. I mean, just stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. That would be fun to give people an option to support them. Andrew
Mhm.
War Snowboard says Ron Kick Vickerman, Soy Boy Toye BTFO'd. Diastra. Oh, and I have to do one thing real quick. This is just a point of order. I didn't ever show this last night. I didn't show the complaint. This is the complaint from Ron Toye. I'm not going to go through it because Ty and I read it last night. I just wanted to let people know that the discipline is not warranted without investigation. Applies to this one as well. I didn't put it up on the stream because I hadn't redacted it yet yesterday, and I wouldn't want to dox Ronald Toye. That would be shameful. So we read the complaint word for word, but it was not discipline not warranted. So there you go. Just as a point of order on that one, since some people have been asked if it was dismissed. It was. Dias Striker says at Tug, check Nick's Twitter for him. Be a good guest.
Check his Twitter for him.
You don't have to do that. Mike C says people think Ty is a Twitter lawyer. WTF? Yes, Ty with his 2 tweets ever is the best Twitter lawyer there ever was, I think.
I mean, going from followers per, how many followers he picked up with the tweets that he's thrown out there? Yeah, he's a damn effective Twitter user for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. Jacob Wagner says, "Hey Nick, first time messaging, long time watcher. Thanks for covering this and your love for 40K has brought me to starting the mini hobby again, starting Custodes. Thank you." Oh man, awesome, good choice. Custodes are so cool. Custodes. Caleb Wagner says, "Nick, you are among good company. A lot of good people have worked out of shipping containers in Afghanistan. Hooya Navy." Thank you. Seed Fan 85 says, "What do you think about the video that Waleed Ali put out after the New Zealand shooting?" I don't even know who Waleed Ali is, or what the video is about. So sorry, I can't comment on that. Man of Martin says, in Texas, we don't even need an apostrophe for y'all. That's the spirit. Internet Tab says, reporting you to the bar. Expect a tab on me. Meximan and Cheese says, fed a dog canes. I'll let you know if it gets better. Oh, rude. Conspiracy in Comics says, yo, base lawyer bro. Please give a plug to my all ages graphic novel, A Song of Mice and Fur, live on Indiegogo. Redwall meets 40K and Animal Farm. Check it out, guys. A Song of Mice and Fur on Indiegogo from Conspiracy in Comics. Are you familiar with that one at all, Tug?
I haven't checked it out, but it sounded actually kind of cool. I heard him get a shout out on the EBS show. So I just forgot. I'm glad actually I may pull that up while we're talking here.
Yeah, pull it up, and if you can, we'll screen share it and show it or whatever. Enter the QB. Enter the QB. When it's hot, I grab Mike's Hard Lemonade. When I have to debate a hashtag Kick Vic supporter, yikes, hard pass. Doom Guy says, implying Ren Fatmas has a womb. Well, that seems rude, Doom Guy. Are you saying that person doesn't have a womb? Mr. DJ Fly High says, these Twit JW people are acting like they want to watch to protect the world, but you don't want it to change, kind of like the mafia in the 50s. Yeah, and I mean, social justice is the new mob justice for a reason. We says, hey, don't mock us blue hairs. Oh, I'm so sorry. I mean blue hairs in spirit, not in actual blue hair. Ugh, those SJWs are making me look bad. Also, this is going to be a defendant version of the LOL suit in which Vic wipes the floor with them. At least we won't have Kevin drinking beer helps me steer Landau's antics. Yarman Hunter says, just got here. Don't know who this Tug guy is, but he sounds like he'd try to lead me deep into the bayou with the promises of Confederate treasure, but not mention the monsters, and I would be down for it.
All right. Unless you're down for it. There you go.
Have you found Confederate treasure deep in the bayou, Tug?
Yeah, sure. Anybody want to go follow me out there?
Did you ever play Bayou Billy as a kid on Nintendo?
Yeah, I did.
That game was hard. I rented it all the time, never got anywhere.
I've been going back and picking up a lot of damn Nintendo games lately, actually. You know, I don't know, that nostalgia need, it's getting back on me. You know, I've been playing like Master Blaster and a few other, a few other games like that, man. It's been kind of fun going back for nostalgia.
Yeah, they're my favorite. I love Battletoads. Let's see. Tug. Oh wait, no. Ty Beard's Beard says, "Listen, Minnesota Law Dog. Law don't go around here." Legendary Devil Hunter Dante says, "Tug, give our best to Little Umbrella Girl. We miss story time." Altera Moongara says, "First time super chatting. Nick and Tug, two of my favorite YouTubers. Keep up the good work." Oh, thank you. William Barnes says, hashtag not your shield hero, hashtag GTFO spear douche, hashtag lying princess. Dubler says, why shouldn't SJWs expect young boys to be assumed monsters? Doesn't the American Family Court listen and believe? Yeah. No, not necessarily. Damn Facker says, if Vic wins, do you think his story would make a good documentary style video format about the Me Too era? Maybe. I don't know. That's up to the people who want to do that. Cesario JPN says, Tug getting to official beard seal of approval. Super Sentai guy says, Umbrella, what kind of horror movies do you like?
80s horror mostly. You know, I mean, it may be a little cliche to say these days, but you know, I grew up on movies like The Thing. I like body horror, like The Fly. You know, but I don't know. I just finished watching like obscure slasher movies like Amsterdam. I actually really liked that movie. It's very it was re-released.
Oh, what about Event Horizon and In the Mouth of Madness?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. I like I would say Mouth of Madness is probably the best Lovecraftian film that we've seen, an adaptation.
It's really good, man. Do you read Sutter Kane?
Yeah, I love the setup. It's an ingenious movie. You know, I've been going back through Carpenter's later films. I'm finding that I'm liking more of them. You know, he always talks about Escape from LA, not New York, being a great movie. And I used to laugh that off, but I've gotten to where I've watched it enough times finally. I think it's settling on me. But yeah,
I don't know how
eventually
many times I'd have to watch Escape from LA to think it was good.
he tries to pimp that, man. If you go in with garbage level, intentions, and well, get it inebriated enough. I don't know how far your enough is to enjoy shitty movies, but if I get inebriated enough, I can enjoy mostly anything.
I mean, I enjoyed Escape from LA. I thought it was pretty bad, but maybe I have to give it another chance. What about I love John Carpenter's Vampires, even though a lot of people hate it.
I like it, man. I think it's actually a lot of people draw the line and say, that was in his bad movies, but yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good movie. When you have a practical of a dude getting split in half when a vampire walks in and like almost karate chops a dude in half. Yeah, that's
yeah. I love James Woods in that movie. He is so insufferably irritating, but in the best way. Oh gosh,
I love 80s horror, man. That's the best type of
what about
movies. That's
what about Rob Zombie's movies? House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects.
I appreciated them more before he put out newer movies.
His other movies suck.
Yeah, and if you start examining those movies and then you go back, like I went back and watched The Devil's Rejects, and I used to like that movie, but I found I need to leave it alone. I don't need to watch it again. Now I haven't watched House of a Thousand Corpses in a while. I love the way that movie begins. So I think it'll still hold up, but man, his later movies are so bad.
House of a Thousand Corpses has my favorite scene in maybe any movie, but it's my favorite horror movie scene for sure because I find it perfect. Do you remember when he's got the cops? The cops go to the house, and it's a disaster. And I think the guy's name is Bud or whatever, the main family member, the main bad guy. He's got the one deputy like dead to rights, and he gets the deputy down and he's in the puddle, and he gets down on his knees and he puts his hands up, right? And he's got the gun like pointed right at him, and the camera switches to this like top down view, and the music that's been going on throughout this, there's like this crazy music going on during this shootout, and everybody's getting killed and murdered all over the place. And all the cops are getting killed, and he's just it stops. It goes dead silent, and this is the last guy alive. He's got the gun at his head, and it does this slow rotating, reverse zoom and a little bit of a twist, and it goes on for just like a hair too long. It's just too long, and then he shoots him, and it's perfect. Oh my gosh, it's the best scene. Otis, yeah, Otis is. I think it's Otis. But gosh, that's the best scene in that movie. And I was like, man, I don't care what Rob Zombie does for the rest of his life. That scene merits that he was a filmmaker to me. But
I've gotten to some of his later films. God, if I don't approach another Rob Zombie film, I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, I watched the one with Sherry Moon as the main character, that weird like witch cult one or whatever. That movie, that movie sucked bad. And then I watched the one where he got what's his name? That huge English actor. Was it Rule 21 or something like that?
You're talking about 31?
31, yes, 31.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it was so bad.
I'm a shaky cam, man. I thought I'm going to die watching this movie. I don't want to watch this movie.
And I thought the ending could have been done much better. But anyway, we're tangenting. I apologize. All Out of Bubblegum says, tugs for the tug god, beers for the beer throne. Jean Ralphio Saperstein says, these SJWs are the worst. Bagel Goose says, my issue is when people make baseless pedo accusations towards others just to hurt them. Also, Bean is a good girl who didn't do nothing. Chem is Life says, what is your opinion on the Missouri middle finger to the government gun control? I love it, but I don't think it'll be effective in the long run, unfortunately. Blake says, Kevin, I'm charging a fee for every apostrophe Landau. Kevin, drink at the bar, then drive a car Landau. Kevin, you can't eat soy and remain a boy Landau. And Kevin, drinking liquor makes my car quicker Landau. So there you go. Kiash the Pally says, if you have Shane on again, can I join to interview you both for my project? I don't know if that would go too well in that video, but we'll see. King Explosion Murder says, maybe Shane is into masochism or something. That's the only reason I think he'd come back. Soviet Doge says, Shane wants to prove where you are clearly wrong about how they used tortious interference of a business contract and how it was him, Dio, the whole time that was right. Cesario Japan says, potato theory, Shane was planning or whatever to take over Kamehacon by current staff being run out and swooping in to take over somehow. Dunno. Maybe. Silith says, hey Nick, been marathoning your entire channel recently. Thank you for that. Also, you have cost me 13 million credits worth of starships, all because I'm paying more attention to you while flying in Elite Dangerous. Love you. Oh, thank you. Sorry to cost you credits. Kaio Souza says, keep up the good work, Nick, and nice shirt. Thank you. Ace, a whole bunch of numbers, says, your friend with the greasy chair is trying to rewrite the narrative, fellas. Check a tweet from me, please. Yeah, of course he's trying to rewrite the narrative. I think some people thought Shane would be a good mouthpiece.
They were wrong. They were totally wrong.
Just goes to the level of judgment that these people have.
I like the greasy chair, actually. That makes it even worse. I mean,
yeah, it's nasty looking.
It was, man.
The Texan 83 says, I live in New Zealand. Censorship running rampant. By the way, sending you a Maori singing metal band to check out in your DMs, Alien Weaponry. I'll check it out. Thank you. Blaine 20 says, watch the Whale Rider movie to learn a bit about the Maori. Great movie. Alucard SRH, thank you for the donation. Timothy Reaper, all hail the Overlord. Superbus Sterodub says, don't have that expensive expletive chair rapist Shane back on. He's trying to poison the well. Also, this guy sounds like a young Johnny Carson. Remember Ebba. Darking D says, man, New Zealand went from 0 to clerical fascists and nothing flat. Just takes one. If you don't value freedom, it just takes one. It took, 5 days for them to ban pretty much all firearms, institute gun confiscation, and government-enforced observation of religious practice? Holy crap. Yeah. You don't value freedom. If it's not an underlying principle, what do you do? Joshua Bailey says, would love to have a conversation regarding your earlier conversation with people trying to destroy yours and Vic's career at some point. Okay. Message me, buddy. Wooter Van Putten says, what's your opinion on offer to drop craft prostitution charges, but it includes if it were to go to trial, the state would be able to prove guilt. I mean, that sounds like the kind of deal that, see. You drop the prostitution. Oh, okay. It sounds like something like a continuance for dismissal or a stay of adjudication, where you admit to the facts, the underlying facts, and the state would be able to prove the guilt. Or you make what's called an Altford plea, or a Norgard plea, where you would admit that the state can prove the facts and that you would be guilty, but then they probably are giving him a probationary period to not reoffend. My opinion on that is it's good to be a billionaire who wins Super Bowls, isn't it? Alucard SRH says, Nick, did you hear that Ron Toye said he was not served papers, but he got paper telling him not to delete anything and is happy to comply? I did hear that. Darking D says, Kansas already does that, but we don't have our own BS gun laws. Get on our level, Missouri, you cucks. Seriously, you can open carry anything here, and we haven't enforced the NFA for years. Blaine 20 says, private person is key. King Llama 001, sick of being told I'm a white supremacist by minorities and liberals with inferiority complexes. Keep doing what you're doing. Hashtag Papa Nurgle blesses. Cherno says, Wickard versus Filburn needs to be overturned. It really does. Abdullah says, let me make this perfectly clear. Islam does not support terrorism in any way, shape, or form. The act of taking your own life out or taking an innocent is strictly forbidden. The so-called Muslims who commit these acts are not abiding by Islamic rules. Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, well, there are certainly people who say that they are, but people do bad things in the name of things all the time. So there you go. Thank you for speaking out about that. Blue Satoshi says, stand FDR couldn't stand at all. I think that's quitter talk. Zypher Warrior says, Supreme Court can override previous decisions. They can. Blaine 20 FDR sold us out to foreign powers. Rusco Disco, hey buddy, I sent you some logos to your email. It's a revision of your vector art. Hope you check it out. I think it looks really good. Thank you. Demon Kabuto and Ivan Baza, thank you for donations. James Darby, your husband loves you, Colombiana. Don't think less of me, Nick, for scoring points with the wife. Why would I ever think less of you for that? That Tug, I think you'll agree with me. Scoring points with the wife is the most important game to play.
Amen. It is actually, happy. I really do believe happy wife, happy life. I mean, you got, and it's good. Actually, I have to say that considering I work and then I come home and I talk about all of this and, because it's important to me. My wife is very, compassionate about letting me, do what I want to do and not bothering me about it. So I think that there are a lot of other people that wouldn't let you do that. So I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any of us people who are talking about this stuff for hours on YouTube and their wives are like allowing it without forcing us to do something else, like take care of the kids or like clean the house or help out around, especially, guys like you and Flash and me, because we all do have our real jobs too. Mm-hmm. We spend a lot of time and they're very gracious to us. Conspiracy in Comics says, base Andrew Jackson fans, check out A Song of Mice and Fur, my comic on Indiegogo. Did you pull that thing up, by the way?
I did. I got it pulled up here.
You want to screen share that real quick?
I will. Give me 1 minute.
Okay. Wholesome anti-commie fun for all ages. Redwall meets 40K. We're pulling it up, buddy. Ooh, there's my face. That's weird.
Bam. I know. It's just strange to see yourself pop up like that. Bam.
Song of Mice and Fur. So, guys, if you're interested in this, definitely check it out and support him.
It actually was hard to find for some reason, just to say. It was actually hard to dig up for a minute. It didn't come up in my first search. So if people can't find it right away, just check again. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I thought it said 136 page epic fantasy. So you're definitely getting quite a bit of book there.
Yeah. Do they have any preview pictures or anything of like the artwork? Or is it a novel or is it a graphic novel?
Graphic novel. They got, here's some of their.
Okay.
There's not a lot of preview pictures in here. There's a little bit.
Sure. But yeah, so it looks like an all ages sort of thing.
That looks good. Actually, I like the way that's set up. It looks like fun. I don't know. I've gotten to the point where I've been looking for a lot more all ages books. All ages too. People get this misconception. All ages means for kids. No, it doesn't. Conan and stuff used to be considered, all ages. You'd have monsters, murder, and all kinds of things. But it meant anybody could get into it.
Right. And writing for all ages is difficult. Very difficult stuff to do. Because kids are brutal audiences in different ways than adults are. So definitely check it out if you guys are interested in that. It's under indiegogo.com/a-song-of-mice-and-fur-graphic-novel hashtag.
There you go. I like this little page here. The greatest happiness is to scatter your enemies, to drive them before you. I was waiting for the lamentation of his women, but, I thought, that's a cool
to see cities reduced to ashes. Yeah, I think that's probably coming. The lamentation of his kittens or something.
There you go. Anyway, I thought that was cool.
Okay, so check that out if you guys are interested. Thank you so much and for sending that stuff. Conspiracy in Comics. Demon Kabuto 1590. I forgot to ask. I only started watching you about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I wanted to know what is a tell that makes you itchy. I get itchy when I get hot because I'm allergic to increases in internal body temperature. It's called cholerogenic urticaria, and I get hives. You can maybe see some of them starting to break out, just little red spots down here especially. And that makes me itchy. The tell was because I scratched my face while saying something, so I was clearly lying. David Cook says, hey there, finally caught your stream live. Thank you for laying down the law on those sparkly vampires. Me and my wife love your streams. Thank you. Hashtag beards for life. Hashtag no soy for boys. And hashtag Vic for life. Conspiracy Thinking Comics says, let's be real. Nick, is there a more based president than Andrew Jackson, the Bank Slayer? A Song of Mice and Fur is live on Indiegogo. 1776, McKinley was based. There you go. Lulu CC, that pizza you just said sounds like a heart attack just waiting to happen, but it's delicious all the way down. Roy Torres says, you going after Soye for his fake ethics board claim? No, that would be hard to do, but I'll have to check his tweets. It's funny that he privated his tweets after Ty said we would look into those tweets and see if he had made a statement about my GoFundMe being a scam outside of that. Before Ty was on and we talked about it, Soye's tweets were open and they went private right in the middle of that live stream. Kind of interesting. Hi, Ron. Jay Moore says, cuck, beta, Soye. Mini Giant says, SakuraCon is my local convention. I am so disgusted. I will never attend again. Now, SakuraCon might not have anything to do with this. I think I might ask them for a statement about it. But it might just be that one guy. So don't write off SakuraCon just yet. I'm certainly curious as to how they feel about one of their chairpersons doing that. But maybe they support it, and if they do, that's their prerogative. William Barnes says, wait, did the judge just say that truth is a defense to you calling him a cuck and a little bit shoot? Yeah, I think it is. Jay Moore says, tell Tug to start a Pink Death Note crowdfund.
All right.
What is
my daughter? She likes to tell stories, at the end of some of my streams. Yeah. And she likes Death Note right now, but she likes to tell about how Barbie found a Death Note. It was a pink Death Note. It's really weird to hear a 5-year-old tell you about, and then he became the god of the new world. I was like, oh, that's cute.
Well, perfect. Sounds like she's on her way to great things.
Oh, yeah.
Dunscap Dorman says, it's so hard to watch these kickers bury themselves in their own words, especially since it's hard to understand them as they're all ATM with each other happily, human centipede style. Oh, that's gross. That's what that ATM meant. Kadak1 says, SakuraCon always has someone from Funimation, and this year Jamie and Monica will be there. I'm very interested. SakuraCon, they have been deleting comments, even if it's from concerns about safety. So maybe they are fine with it. Edelwolf says, has someone from the bar contacted you about these? No. No one important says that explains why Ron privated his Twitter page. Yellow Flash 2 says, Ron Toye is a bundle of sticks. Rickard says, hey Nick, I'm almost done reading the Ultramarines Omnibus and I got the Black Heresy Humble Bundle. Good job, buddy. Thank you for helping Vic and the other men that have been steamrolled by the outrage mob. Can Tug give me an all right? An all right. There you go. little Matthew McConaughey in there. I like that.
Yeah. I get everything between Mr. Rogers to McConaughey. I get some weird requests.
Oh, can you give me a hello neighbor?
Yeah, I could do hello neighbor.
Oh, that's great. That's dead on. Oh, that brings me back. Thank you for that. Hokage 78. Will you try to get Vic on after the lawsuit? Yeah, sure. I'd love to talk to Vic after the lawsuit. We'll see. I don't want to do anything that would endanger Vic's case in any way. So, up until then, we will not be having any sort of discussions on this channel. But afterwards, yeah, it'd be great to talk to him. Chicken Bone says Escape from LA is a spoof of Escape from New York and has the best ending of any movie ever. 666 shut off the world. Eyes of the Wolf 101 says, any chance of crowdfunding a horror movie on SJWs? Oh, that'd be funny. Jay Taylor says Muslim protestations of innocence are Takaya. I don't know how to pronounce that, but we'll go with it. Mr. X says bumped into Ron on Steam. He's enjoying his new game, Psychoman. Soy Boy's cucked twice. The final boss is being allowed to watch in the same room instead of down the hall. Oh man, that's brutal. Best debate in the universe says screw that Kansas guy. We also have constitutional open carry. And we were on the right side of history with y'all being the scalpers and slaveholders. Super Captain Chris says, fact, Minnesota pizza is garbage. New York pizza for life. I'm not going to fight you on that. Dequarius Walker says, I bet that blue hair thought and chair abusing muskrat would get served papers. or I wish they would, so they would shut the hell up. They have pretty much shut up. So that's funny, but well, that's what I got, man. That's the chats, that's the topics. I don't know, did you want to add anything, Tug?
No, man, I think we we hit quite a bit, actually. It was good. It was a good chat.
Yeah, thank you for coming on again. Guys, you have to understand, I asked Tug like 15 or 20 minutes before the show if he would come on. He came on and troopered it out for over 3 hours. I really, really do appreciate that, because I've been meaning to talk to you, and I've been really appreciative that you've been kind of keeping up on the coverage about me, because that makes me very happy, because I don't have to, right?
Yeah, I like it. See, I don't want to cover something about myself. It seems just odd, if another person is getting attacked, or they're bringing up weird things about it. I don't know. It seems right to not make that person, like I said, cover it. It almost I'd rather have an outside observer. Sometimes it also makes me mad when I see people talking about things like my child and things like that. So
yeah, no, if anybody who talks about your kids should be that's just, guys, stop it.
yeah.
But you know what I mean, at some point we're out here in public, so we kind of expect it, but that doesn't mean focus your attention on making fun of me, my income, my job. That's fine. I don't care. Leave my kids out of it, please, just because that's rude. That's rude. And if you ever put my kids in danger, you're in more danger than I am. So that's how that goes from my perspective. But yeah, so I really want to thank you. Of course, now there's like 5 more there's like 5 more chats as it goes, which I appreciate, of course. But here's what I want to say before I read them. I put Tug's channel link right in the description down below. Make sure you check it out. It says sub to Tug and has a link to it. He's a great guy. Fantastic, soothing voice, always interesting coverage and good shows. So thank you, buddy, for doing that and being there. And guys, make sure you subscribe to him, because he's putting out good stuff.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go bounce and try to sleep for like 4 hours before I get up.
Yeah, me too. I got another early one, but
yeah, that's the love of that, isn't it?
Yeah, but this stuff is energizing, so it's okay.
It is. It's actually good. You're doing a good thing. I mean, that's I can't sleep at night knowing that I let these people get away with what they do.
Right. It can't. We can't keep letting it happen. And Vic is the perfect person to carry this crusade, in my opinion, because he's so genuine. People care about him. He's cared about people enough to build the capital that they care about him. And the charges all seem to be basically horsecockery. And there are targets. There are targets that are vulnerable targets. It's not just anonymous. I mean, a bunch of it is anonymous, but there are identifiable people with something to go after. They're not just some ridiculous idiot who has to crowdfund an oil change. You know who you are. You know who you are, Allison. Has to crowdfund an oil change or whatever.
Sad, man. That's very sad. Actually, I always wonder too. Like we've seen these people escalate and get worse every time. They switch to another hobby. When we start noticing it in games, obviously there were problems there, and it escalates to a certain point. But then you transfer over to comics. Now we're up to the point where we destroy people's lives, calling them sexual abusers and pedophiles. If we don't draw the line, what's next?
Yeah, well, murderers, and I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, what's worse than societally? I mean, what's the next line after you're calling people pedophiles?
Yeah, there really isn't. It's such a devastating thing. It's wielded so liberally now. It's crazy. Okay, last couple chats, then we can finish up. Sakaki Onsai says Giovanni's is great. It's sad the one in St. Cloud closed down. Well, come on down to Wilmer, buddy. Blaine 20 says, not trying to be rude, but does anyone else cringe when they hear Monica's screechy voice? I hate Bulma as a character personally. Never found her that interesting. The only funny time Bulma existed was her getting hit by whatchamacallit, what's his face, and Vegeta's raging out. They got to destroy Beerus. She gets slapped by Beerus, and Vegeta goes ham. That was great. And then the episode where Vegeta has to take her shopping and hates every second of it. That was perfect. Adelwolf says, sorry, I was drunk and forgot it. Cut off my message at 50 words. I'm sure the bar is tired of getting reports on you. Ordered your mug. Oh, thanks, buddy. And go Space Wolves. Some Japanese kanji that I can't pronounce says, I'm in an argument with this Kick Vic Stan who thinks using playground insults and may have rape fantasies. Keep up the good work, Nick. I will try. Camino says, on the horror movie topic, have either of you two seen or contemplated watching Hereditary and heard of the movie Us by Jordan Peele? Love you guys. Hereditary, I've heard, is very, very good. But I haven't seen it.
Praise.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it. And Kuroskar at 3.2 thousand at 2:20 a.m. GD, dude, that is insane. It is insane. I do appreciate all of you watching. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I will try and announce the show tomorrow much more in advance than I did today. And hopefully I can put together something good for you guys, and we'll see what's going on. Thanks, Tug, for coming on. If you want to direct anybody to anything, please do so, and I'll let you have the last word, buddy.
All right. That umbrella guy. Find my channel. That's it. I need 40 more people to put it at 22K. I appreciate all of you. I love it. You know, all of you make this stuff. I'll end by saying this. Unlike these voice actors we talk about, they've forgotten you. You know, we haven't. We actually appreciate all of you that show up. So, you know, thanks.
I lied. There's a chat that came in, but then I'm gonna let you say thanks at the end one more time. All Might 89 says Vic has brought groups together in ways I don't think the blue hairs expected. I, for one, never thought I'd stand side by side with a furry on a matter, but yet here we are. Also, good night. Okay, guys, good night. Peace, and Tug, you get the last good night.
All right, good night. I'll just go with that. Subscribe, that umbrella guy. Easy.